Welcome everyone to the Scrub Cup, our newest iteration. We are now in the final bracket for NA. We are bringing you a match live between Thunderstruck and Unlucky 13. Unlucky 13 in blue, Thunderstruck in red to set the stage. I'm LaFon, your caster and host, and with me on color is Scribe. Scribe, how's it going?
Not too bad. It's just Sunday night, just chilling, hanging out, ready to watch some intense Overwatch.
Some intense Overwatch indeed. And before we get the games entirely set up, shout out to, of course, all the production staff behind the scenes that help put all these events on, and of course the organizers and members of players both. Again, another reason, and the reasons I should say, that the Scrub Cup has been successful again. So we are now on Dorado, our first map. It is going to be the choice, as the maps were banned down. So Unlucky 13 setting up their defenses, setting up an interesting composition, I think, here as we look at their choices.
Yeah, their composition is obviously it's not meta, but I do think they have quite a few avenues covered in case that they do run into a crit dive composition from the other side of Thunderstruck. They do have that Reaper that's going to be able to counter, but in the meantime, though, this composition doesn't look too bad. I'm just interested to see what Cypher can really do. If he gets enough room and he's able to, press forward and press his advantage and make it such that playing long pressure on the front line, they should be able to transition.
One thing to note, though, is the attackers of Thunderstruck are running that Farm Mercy combination, and Reaper is not really known for his long-range hit scan abilities, so that may come into play here as RAR and Lady Saturday in that aforementioned combination, playing up in the air, trying to see if they can get some damage, bringing down on the Reinhardt from Klondike, and he's forced to retreat for the moment. Looks like they're going to give up that high ground initially as they rotate down. The first kill will come in from RAR as Steve dies to that bar in the air. The cart now below that first choke point. We get to see our first team fight coming into play. RAR now in that back line looking down, but Eagles is in Yada, forcing the issue and defending himself. So the defenders right now looking very, very good, as it's going to be 3 kills and more, 4 with the defensive matrix, or with the diva out, I should say. That's going to be a full hold here with the card just past that first choke point.
This is actually kind of one of the reasons why dive became stronger and stronger as it went on. It's just because movement is so important. As you can kind of see, the side of Thunderstruck really struggled to get past that Reinhardt front line. They were generating a lot of charge for Zarya, and it allowed them to basically get a lot more damage, taking down the Pharah very early on the fight. And with the Pharah out of the picture, they don't really have any real way to strong engage into the back line. But they will be able to kind of push through that major chokehold. Ski takes out J-Rich in the background, and now they're going for a big flank, and Kukoya just getting so much charge right now, getting the back line uncontested, and he's getting a lot of support from his teammates, especially that product from Mercy, keeping them alive. And yeah, this is just really tough. You don't want to run to a very close space, especially against Zarya, who's getting more and more charge.
This is a very close range composition from the defense here. The Zarya and Reaper and Reinhardt should be quite precise. On top of that, we see that they won multiple team fights back-to-back without using any ultimates. So they have this next fight here as they set up. They continue to have their defense, and with the Eric Cypher, flanking around with that teleport, does have that death blossom, looking for the ability. He's going to come back in here on the support perhaps, and it's going to be explosive here, engaged. And there it is, that Death Blossom comes in, both supports go down, defensive matrix not there in time, and this is going to be yet another fight win for the defense with actually very little use. A very smart play here from the defense. They're banking their ultimates, their ult economy in the rotation has been pretty solid here, with 1 minute 30 left in the match.
Yeah, this is actually funny. They have actually more ultimate restraint than many pro teams actually do. They only burn 2 right there. And right now, they do have a support ultimate up. They do have another way to engage if they need to. They also have the Graviton, which they do need to watch out for. Artia has the potential to kind of, heat up that Graviton surge and make it so that it's a lot harder for them to engage. Urk Cypher does, however, get a little bit of damage before backing off and have Klondike in the front line. He needs to make sure he's careful. He doesn't have this diva to really do as much damage as this team does. And man, great Earth Shatter on 4, really pushing him back, but so as the Bavaza will look to pick up the rest of the kills here. Transcendence is going to cost Bavaza a little more time, but Steve, I don't think he's got enough damage to pick out the rest of it. He can run around, potentially get out of the area, maybe get back into stealth, or Cypher back onto the cart, but he's on the cart again, so it's not really going to stay on very long.
Eric Cypher just stalling out some time, you know, dying on cart. Always a smart move when you're on the defense. Even though some may consider it a stagger, you really just burn an extra 5 seconds off the clock, and that could come down to the last part of the map when you need those extra 5 seconds. So that was a clean engage. I mean, the ultimate from Eagles was perhaps a bit late and unnecessary after the team had already died. With that said, though, that was still remarkably good ultimate because they didn't burn that much when they lost the fight, aside as, again, that mentioned support ultimate. The offense, though, credit to them as well. They used Earthshatter, they used Tactical Visor, and they, you know, held off. They saw they won the fight, and not much else there. So much better ult economy from these teams than we can somewhat usually expect. Fight continues now. The shoulder charge will come through, but a great barrier from Koya on that hit, and that's going to bring the Graviton Surge right out. Sound Barrier to defend, but it's not going to be enough as the Death Blossom will come in, pick up 3, and the Earth Shatter. So the ult economy we did mention that they had, or the ult efficiency they had, a little bit out the window there as they used 4 ultimates, I believe, the Graviton Surge, Earth Shatter, Res, and Death Blossom to win that fight. And the reset happens for the attackers.
Yeah, I think it's a net win for them because I think the Mercy ult was mainly used as a counter engagement. They still have Soldier available if they need to, you know, buy some more time. The D.Va is going to be alive, so I think the Soldier should basically just use ultimate to draw the D.Va out of position, force him to be contested on the high ground. And if he gets enough support from Eagles on the Zenyatta, he will be able to burst down the D.Va very easily. But it looks like they're just not backing up quick enough. This kind of was a negative of not having Lucio in the comp business. When your tanks start getting engaged on and they really need to back out of position, there's not that speed boost to help them get out of range of, you know, close range damage. And this is where Reaper really does strive. If your tanks aren't to be aggressive enough to apply a lot of pressure, Reaper has a lot of room to actually do a lot of damage and make it a lot difficult to do.
Erk Cypher there gets staggered out of position, and that's going to be the second point captured. Only one fight taken by the defenders there, and a radical change from that first point where they really showed that kind of efficiency and economy, and they sort of just let the second point go, but they set up here to reset as they get ready for that third point. Tunderstruck looking to see them broken away. They do have, you know, the ultimates coming online here, very close to both support ultimates, and they do have all 4 of the remainder of their team heavy ultimates. Aurora looking from the high ground, looking for that Death Blossom, doesn't see what he wants, forced to rate out there. And the cart, though, still moving as the defense just gives up ground. Basically, for free here, they're not really pushing the front line. And from the rear side comes Blondice on that Reinhardt. Shoulder charges in and is executed by a red team who's very aware of it. Eagles will get Thunderclips as, you know, the skirmish continues. Again, the cart sort of stalled out here as the Tactical Visor comes up, but there's a defense matrix. No, the D.Va rather. Or sorry, I say Jerry Rich, but he picks up 2 with that kill, and then finishes off the remainder without the ultimate. As Blondice forced to use Earthshatter, basically stall out. There's that the Death Blossom into the Earthshatter, picks up 2 as the shoulder charge cleans up the remainder. Jerry Rich on the charge, all by himself, and an ultimate used, the Tactical Visor to clean up as Thunderstruck disengages and resets. So a minute 20 left for them. They nearly have that cart at that third and final point. The respawns continue to filter in.
Just a side note, this is kind of one of the reasons why you want to die on cart, mainly because backing up will allow the enemy team to still progress the cart. If you go forward, and even if you're in a 1v6 situation, dying on the cart will stop the cart and stop the cart just enough for the enemy team, for your own team to kind of get back into it. For Cypher, he's playing exactly how aggressive as he needs to be. He recognizes that with both teams, they're not really willing to take fights in which they lose someone very early on, right? They're not willing to expend ultimate just to, you know, shore up that man down situation, which, you know, does make sense in most cases. I think Winston Lab has some statistic where I think over 50% of the fights are won by the team who gets the pick first. But right now, they need to start expending ultimates. You can't just keep on stockpiling them at the very end, hoping that you can use them for a last-second push, especially if there is a Merc Res available in the area, and Klondike has the Earthshatter back up against almost. He's going to only wait for 13 more percent, and he will have it. And he's going into a flank, which is, you know, something he's done quite a few times before. And if he gets an opening, that's going to be really impactful.
Rar, though, in the backline is going to bring in the death blossom, but kicked dead by Eagles as the Transcendence comes out to keep himself alive right after. So excellent support play there. Quantize charges in as the sound barrier comes back out. There's that grab concert on the high ground, captures 3 of the players. No kills coming out there as we're now in overtime on the high ground. Uncontested J-Rich jumps down the big Earthshaker from Quantize, picks up 2, but Thundercl's in the backline is going to swing away and picks up a double kill for himself, but the defense sort of shoring up their abilities here, and Sacrifice Isaac will come out the overtime, taking away as a stealth res comes in. Thundercl's with a big Earth Shatter, but no one really in it, as he only gets 1 kill out of that. Again, though, the defense looking very, very shaky here. Skikoya, the only one left alive, as the respawn slowly coming back in. The high noon directly on Cart, looking to see what he can get. Doesn't see anything quite yet. He's going to pull as Earthscypher out of Wraith form at the very last minute. And that's going to be 1 kill as the Cart inches forward to that 3rd capture point. And it's looking very, very dangerous now for the defense, as they're just all they can do is stall here. Eagles put to death Koya in pilot form. And slowly the fight continues. As in the high ground now, we're on that far, so a very flexible player there. And another Earth Shatter for the offense is going to get just the Reinhardt. As a self-destruct on card should zone people out here. Earthscypher trying to stay alive, goes back into Wraith form, continuing to stall out time. And he is knocked at point. Overtime will tick out. Round 1 is complete. And we now see what Unlucky 13 can do on the attack.
Now, you actually, that's a small piece of advice for, a lot of players trying to stagger back onto the card. You really want to consider what ultimates the rest of your team has and really talk to the rest of your team saying, this is what I can do to stall. I really like to change onto the D.Va. That basically buys themselves more time, especially in Klondike. I think he almost, it was like 40% for his ultimate when he switched off. So he could have had the option to, if the fight went on for longer, gotten that more impactful ultimate, but he started stalling a little more. Eagles actually was in a weird situation where he walked onto the card, did not really auto anyone or didn't attack anyone. If he actually had, he might have built up Transcendence for that second time he filtered in, and would have bought a lot more time for the team to kind of get back onto point. And I do like the effort that they made, though. They were able to suffer quite a bit. They do force overtime, so that means that if they do clear all 3 points, they will be able to get, I guess, if they clear all 3 of the points, they will have a little bit of time advantage. You do go back up to 1 minute if you run out of time, since this is escort and not a hybrid map. So that's something to definitely be appreciative of. But in general, I do like the way that Thunderstruck was able to recover from that first point where they kind of lost quite a few fights in a row, but managed to push through on the back of some really great ultimates and catching people off position. I would like to see Unlucky 13 play more together. They've been giving up a lot of space. Honestly, they could have taken the second point on the second street space. They could have pushed that for a lot more time than they did. And I would like to see them play a lot more 5v6 fights and use the ultimates at their advantage. You don't have to stockpile everything. In fact, it's almost better to take more fights on a point and stall the card for longer, because in the long term, that's going to help you out win the game.
As mentioned, we are going to see that attack. An interesting composition here from the defense, as they're running a Junkrat, who, much maligned in general play, has had some success on this map in certain environments, as he does have, that remarkable shield break, and a choke faced with those grenades can be very deadly. So we'll see whether that pick will play off, but Rar showing a little bit of flexibility here, as he's now played 4 different heroes across the spread of this game, playing a very aggressive setup here, as he is going to just choose to lob grenades in. But Eagles has been a star on support all night, assist D in that kill, and they're going to be down 1 are the defense right away, as they are now going to retreat past that left side into the choke, as caught out all alone right now is the Ana, and she is trying her hardest to get out, forced down by Earthscypher, but Earthscypher forced to get away without a kill, and suffers again on that backline, looking for some more engage, and finds himself forced to wraith out. But the first kills will happen with the defenders going down early, as the charge comes in from Thundercliffe. Doesn't catch what he's looking for, as takes a trade away. So continuing is that brawl, and Quad is going to pick up a huge shelter charge. He's going to force D.Va out of mech and kill the Lucio, and the defense looking very solid here. Rar only picks off 1 with that Riptire, as he is going to come back in and pick up another kill with his primary fire afterwards, but not much more than that. And the cart moving forward without really being contested.
Yeah, I really want to see them play more aggressive. They want to be able to stop the cart, and now with 4 people, they should be able to win this fight. While their spawns are a little further, I guess, up from the side of the offense, they are getting a lot of control, and that's a really fast Earth Shatter, catching 4 people down. They should be able to help them push out. Lost contact does burn the defensive matrix, buys team a little more time. They Sunshine landing a crucial nade on Klondike so they can take him out and get no healing whatsoever. They do force the grab to be burned, as well as Earth Cypher's Death Blossom to force the clear. So they are going to go into this next street phase without having to worry about as many ultimates as they did prior to this fight. So that's not a bad dry run for something that was almost lost cause.
Almost lost cause, but as mentioned, now on the attacker side, they only have 3 ultimates, 2 support and the tactical visor. So with that delay, it's very, very unclear as to whether that'll get value or not. One thing to note is, I don't think you need to use Death Blossom into a Graviton Surge if you're up that close, right? You can use just a primary fire, and perhaps that's something that the side could definitely think about using here, but the engagement happens. Tactical Visor will come in from on high, coupled with the Nano's boost. He's going to pick up an immediate 2-piece, and uncontested on the high ground is J-Rich. He's going to jump back down now, getting in that front line, pick off another kill, and that's going to be the attackers with a dry run that force out a fair amount. The two ultimates, and they're going to reset here as Koya, the only one left on cart, as he goes down. Klondike's now in no man's land, and without much support, will go down as well.
So in those type of situations, when the rest of your team kind of dies, well, we're gonna wait till after this res. The res will bring the map back up and fight. Earthshatter does, I think, maybe catches one or maybe catches none.
No, he got blocked by Kakoya there with a great self-barrier to put everyone behind him. Here comes that self-destruct into front line. Klondike turns around just in time to block out the remainder of the damage. So another ultimate forced out here. There's a bigger Earthshatter, captures 2. RTO, will he be forced out of mech? Not quite. Put to sleep now, Klondike in the front of the ring, in the front of the cart, that is. RTO forced out of mech there and immediately hit with a rocket from Stee. So the cart, another one fight out for great Earthshatter and a rather remarkable res that otherwise would have seemed to have been a little bit unwieldy. There's a shoulder charge that's going to take Zarya into a corner, and Zarya, supported by her Mercy, is allowed to get Urkside for the kill. So again, another fight that continues as the cart moving closer to that second point. Shoulder charge captures the Lucio, and Lucio lost contact. He's probably getting very sick of that as another death. There comes a Graviton Surge on the cart just to clear out the remainder as the Death Blossom also comes in, and the second point will be captured. A very fast point capture, so another point 2 that is capped relatively quickly from both these teams.
My ultimate is charged.
Yeah, I like the aggression that they're using. On the side of right now, on the side of Thunderstruck right now, you do have quite a few ultimates. I would like to see them play more aggressive. I actually want to see J-Rich pop that ultimate really early on to bait out some support ultimates. That way they can kind of get out of the way and not have to worry about it as much. And it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. Tactical Visor plus Nano Boost will take down Steve very early on, and they will turn around and take down Process in response. They do force out Eagles on Eagles Transcendence to find out some more time, but they really did not need to put in that other ultimate right there. They should have been fine. They don't have enough for this res right now. Klondike will have to hit a pretty big Earthshatter in order to keep his team back into this before it will be slept and knocked down on the ground. Starts up the charge, but forcing the animation will not be finished before he gets knocked down, allowing his team to kind of secure the rest of allowing Thunderstruck to kind of move forward, regain their ground, and move forward again. They did burn quite a few ultimates right now. They do have Sound Barrier if they need to kite back. They have RTO with the Diva Bomb if they want to start up a fight, or if they want to counter initiate if possible. J-Rich back up to 55%, so he will have Tactical Visor up again if he lands quite a few more shots against human bodies rather than shields. But I'm very excited to see what they do. Klondike should be the man to watch.
J-Rich looking for a spray, finds Lady Saturday all by herself. The Sleep Dart misses, and that's going to be Urkscypher in that backline going after the Ana and kiting away the remainder of the team. Lady Saturday not quite able to get out yet, and a big Earthshatter is going to capture the remainder as it's going to capture all 2 players. And right now the attackers losing Stardust and Kikoya as the counter engage happens. Here comes Lost Contact with that sound barrier to give himself and his team a little bit more health pool there. Caught in a corner is Urkscypher, and he's going to lose that fight. Steve in the air, doing a little bit more damage. It's just him and Eagles on the cart, as the cart has stalled out now, and that's going to be another reset. Both teams using a lot of ultimates. Not much value gained from the attackers, though.
Ultimate is almost ready.
Yeah, honestly, I think you should be more for a lot of people, I think that it's very important for you to be more liberal with your ultimate usage, just because you know that the rest of the team is also building up ult. In the meantime, J-Rich already has tactical visor back. I want to see him burn it again. Force out Eagles very early on this fight to use Transcendence, because if he uses Transcendence early on the fight, that really forces the rest of the team to commit ultimates very quick into the process. Steve, in the meantime, will boop off of the top gun, and now Honda is going to work, taking out Lost Contact. That means that they will not have the Lucio if available. Diva Bomb will catch up Koya as the shield does not get thrown up just in time. Rez brings back both the Reaper and the Zarya, and now the rest of the fight will be going. J-Rich activates the tactical visor, taking out Eagles in the process, but the side of Thunderstruck dying out very slowly but surely as the rest of Unlucky 13 taking this fight to them. They need to be very careful because Thunderstruck has the ability to regain control if possible, and that Graviton Surge does get eaten by RTO, who just holds right click.
The defensive matrix coming in clutch, and that's going to be a huge CC ultimate that is not going to be in play as J-Rich switching over to the McCree, picks off the stun and kill on Klondike, and with Eagles now in the last 20 seconds forced to burn Transcendence as they try and get those kills in desperately. But this is looking very, very dangerous now as Urkcypher stunned, then put to sleep, and then killed rather unceremoniously, as there is now possibly not even a chance for them to get back to cart here to recontest for the overtime.
It's all about how aggressive they play. They can stop them getting there, they'll be fine, and it looks like Reinhardt does not get to make it to the cart in time. I do like kind of how a little more aggressive they were playing. I think that when you have more ultimates, you should be quicker to pull on the trigger, just because, hey, that's going to give you a huge advantage if you can be the one to take the fights. You get to control which ultimates you use, and you get to force out so many other defensive options from the other team, buying yourselves more time. But Thunderstruck, though, capturing it didn't look great going into third point with 3 minutes left on the clock, but they were able to, you know, partition their ultimates as they needed, and they were able to delay the game long enough for, you know, the defense response to really start taking in.
And we do see that first map going in and the completion of it, and so we will get to see what our next map pick is as that play of the game plays out. We are what do you expect to see? What game mode do you expect to see here, seeing as we got to see sort of a small performance from both of these teams on payload specifically?
I'm honestly not like super sure what they would pick. I do expect them to pick maybe a hybrid map. That's just one of the maps that people play a lot more. Hollywood Kings are great examples of maps that I think teams should be able to perform relatively great on. I mean, that's something that you've been playing since day one. I think that they might want to bring it to either Lijiang or Nepal, and that's just, you know, my personal opinion here. I think that'd be really cool. Steve obviously showing off that he has a pocket barrier that he can use, so bringing them onto Lijiang opens up a lot of options for them to run Fair and Mercy compositions. Nepal maybe not so much, but Lijiang does have that Night Market, both Night Market and I think Garden, both of them are great Pharah maps that they can both choose from, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a hyper map go into the pool as well.
We are, of course, just waiting on that pick. So Hollywood is the selection. Unlucky 13, of course, with that map pick. So we will get to see a hybrid map, as you sort of alluded to earlier. It is going to be Thunderstruck choosing to defend first. So Unlucky 13 in red, Thunderstruck in blue. Here we go.
I want to see Steve play more fair. I think I was actually pretty impressed by, you know, how comfortable he looked on it. But I think that if he really can push it to the limit and really, you know, use it to create more room for the rest of his team, as well as, you know, making the back line of the other team feel uncomfortable, forcing the enemy tanks to play according to what style you want them to, as opposed to, you know, allowing the front line and the tank line to kind of be more greedy with positioning how they play. You want to force them to play more passively. But, you know, then again, this Hollywood is one of those maps where you can run almost anything on it. I don't think that there's a single hero that's non-viable on Hollywood first point. I really want to see more players start using Sombra, especially on defense, just because I think that EMP is such a strong ability, especially in this meta, and especially since a lot of teams are still running Zenyatta available.
And Sombra with that EMP, if played around correctly, can build her EMP up in less than 30 seconds. So a very, very fast building ultimate if you play around her health kits. Definitely something that we're most likely not gonna see yet in this lobby, as the defense look like they're setting up a rather standard offering. as we get to see what that last pick is, and it looks like it's going to be a Reaper from Roar. Get.
If they play upper cap A, I really like this Reaper pick because basically it forces them to essentially play into the side of Thunderstruck. If you're playing, relatively passively, you're just going to hold lower cap A. So Reinhardt's basically just going to put up a shield. He's going to stand in the lower doorway, and if he needs to contest the point right before you get the first pick, he just has to take 1 or 2 steps out there, and he's still going to be very safe. Especially with a Mercy, he's able to actually heal from pretty good range. But more importantly, if they force them into that under cap A area, they have Roar and Reaper who's going to be able to take this fight. A lot of people play this other Gatorade spot that they're kind of running up and down right now. While that spot I think is good, it's really easy for the enemy team to kind of displace, especially if they have a Pharah. Of course, the side of Thunderstruck doesn't realize that Steve is going to be back on that Pharah, so they're going to be playing maybe a little passively or maybe aggressively if you're looking at positioning from Roar, J-Rich, and RTR right now. But I do expect both teams to brawl it out a little more on this first point.
This composition from the attackers is going to, as they come in, that Farm Mercy that we sort of, talked about earlier. And it's going to be otherwise a close range composition with a Reaper Zarya. In comes Steve over the edge, hits the ceiling and is forced back down a little bit. Mercy not quite on him right now, so Steve left alone. Stardust supporting the rest of the team as they inch forward. Cypher comes in as Eagles will support him to get the best of that Reaper duel. And Cypher wraiths out. The shoulder charges misses each other wildly. Both Klondice and Thundercliffe, and now both of them in the back line of the other's team as the brawl continues. Steve, though, with that ranged attack, that ranged damage, is proving very, very hard to get rid of right now, and is going to be allowing his team just to swing in on the point, get some point presence, as Klondice picks off Lost Contact yet again, and that is something Lost Contact has got to be sick of from the last map into this one. RTO now the only one left on the point, and is forced out of mech. Thundercliffe comes back in, trying to swing away as they try and defend, but it's going to look like a team wipe here, as the objective is going to start inching ever forward in the attacker's favor. Steve now in the air, trying to get some damage in to prevent them from contesting. And Lost Contact now in a world of danger, down to very little HP, does manage to get out. As Cypher wraiths away after poking some damage.
Kikioa has honestly really impressed me. First of all, that great team bubble to really keep Cypher alive when he wraith formed in, allowing him to get that first initial pick on Roar in the process, and he's been sitting at like 80% plus energy and plus charge the entire first point. He's very good at using his shield, and he doesn't get taken out very easily. Cypher in the background with a huge Death Blossom. That's one of the worst places to for an enemy Reaper to be, behind the Reinhardt shield, because the Reinhardt is going to be forced to swing around and he wants to defend any of the damage means his back is going to be entirely exposed to the attacking team. But this is exactly what kind of momentum they really need. I really like how Steve's playing super aggressive. This is exactly what you want to do if you're on the side of Unlucky 13 right now. You want to force the enemy team to take fights as far back as possible, allowing that card to move up. And now it's going to be in the final straightaway, which means that it's going to be a little bit more easy for the defense to contest. But at the same time, there's so much area given, and Klondice going in for the charge with the shield available, so there's no way to stop it even if they wanted to. An alternative charge does come out a little more, and they need to turn right the shield. But RTO gets the double kill on that Diva, and the Res will bring them back, and the Transcendence keeps them all top. J-Rich is being uncontested in the background. No one's really looking at him. Another great Earth Shatter from the side of Klondice, but on the meantime, though, it's just not enough. J-Rich uncontested, and by leaving him uncontested, that means that the Reinhardt really gets punished from behind.
That was a very odd scenario there with the Reinhardt not turning around to look at that self-destruct in his backline, and that resulted in a snowball of a fight for the defense as they forced a lot of ultimates out from the offense there. The Earth Shatter, Res, and as the Death Blossom still continues to build up there, but the fight resets, the teams do. And Eagles somewhat in front of the shield, a little bit of a dangerous position for Zenyatta to beat. Finds himself back in line. The teams poking away at each other, seeing what is available and what is open to take in this fight. Steve goes down dangerously low. Does manage to get out though, supported by his team. Cypher again on the high ground is looking for that area to get in, and he's going to just come in and pick off the Reinhardt before wraithing out. An excellent assassination here, so with no shield, advantage definitely to the attackers. They now have They now force the res out, a solo res. They burn the Graviton into the backline without that mech. As the trades come through, 2 ultimates being used as Stardust now reses the remainder of the kills happening to that tactical visor from J-Rich. And the defense now in a world of hurt as J-Rich, the only one left alive and trying to get away, will not do so. And the cart ticks forward ever so slowly.
Yeah, Roar switching onto the Mei is kind of addressing some of the big issues that they have, is that they're actually not able to get ground as easily as they would be able to. One of the big things that makes the side of Unlucky 13 really hard to take fights against is mainly this Pharah presence. Having a Pharah basically able to stay safe and like honestly AoE damage over your entire backline is so hard to deal with without a really good option. Roar changing over from the Reaper onto the Mei allows them to kind of get a pseudo hit scan. There is still a little fall off on Mei right click. It's not exactly hit scan either, so it's going to be still a little difficult, but Mei does provide a little more area control. That the wall as well as the ultimate allows them to, you know, honestly abuse the fact that Reinhardt and Rioa aren't really getting as much support as they would.
One thing happens, Spectacles comes in with a big Earth Shatter, doesn't get much value out of it otherwise, as the kills now forced by the team, and the attacker's just going to retreat out as the Earth Shatter comes in, nearly blocked off by the Mei wall, but not quite in time. Blondice gets his shoulder charge stopped by that Mei wall, so while it did not block the Earth Shatter, definitely blocked at least one guaranteed kill. And the kills still happen though for the attackers here, so we're the only one left alive, and RTO managed to catch Cypher out with a self-destruct of all things. As now the spawns come back in for the defense ever so slowly, but the card definitely moves forward as Blondice picks off the shoulder charge on the already destroyed mech. And caught out by the wall is Blondice, does the bubble from Zarya, does not get put on him quite in time. As the Blizzard now will come out and capture everyone. There comes the Blizzard to try, or sorry, the Zenyatta ultimate, the Transcendence, try and keep people up. Does do a successful job of that. And Tactical Visor from on high now, as only Ski, but Ski just turns around, puts the Helix Rock in his face to end that threat. As the defense now sort of slowly losing ground here as a big Earth Shatter comes up and the Death Blossom from above to get 2 kills. And Kikoya will clean up the remainder. And right now, it's just J-Rich now on that Tracer alive as he's the only one forced to contest. He will retreat for the moment as they get ready for that last fight. The 2 Reinhardt shoulder charging into each other as he gets a big Earth Shatter, but that is blocked completely by Kikoya with that barrier, that projected barrier on Klondike. So excellent work by Kikoya yet again as the brawl continues. Cart now stalled out. Ultimate from behind comes Ski into a defensive matrix of RTO. He gets 1 Helix Rocket off. There comes a res on Cart, picks off 2 as a Graviton Surge comes out. Nothing killed from it yet. And it looks like the defenders are going to be able to stabilize at least in the moment as the kills are slowly inching forward. A solo res on Soldier. And that's going to bring down the remainder of the defense. Now lost contact from J-Rich, the only 2 left alive on Cart, as they're trying to contest to the best of their ability. Lost contact, jumping about. As J-Rich manages to drop a Pulse Bomb on the floor, he gets a 2-piece there, but he's the only one left alive as the Cart is going to slowly inch forward. Reinhardt does get back in time as the Transcendence just there. 30 seconds left on the timer. We see the Earth Shatter comes out. It's going to capture 2 here. Self-destruct on Cart to try and zone out the side of the attackers. Does so successfully as we're now in the last 10 seconds of this map with a big Earth Shatter on the offense. The Thunderstruck picks off one. The shoulder charge is going to go through on Zarya to take her far away from the fight. And this is going to be the last 7 seconds of the map. Only 3 left alive on the attacking side. The Death Blossom captures 1. Steve captures another in that backline. There's 3 left. Continues the fight. As this long, drawn-out brawl is now in overtime. So this next fight win is the map either completed or ended. As Rarge is going to do the self-destruct on the point to capture the Mercy out very successfully. And again, Klondike with another Earth Shatter, another big Earth Shatter here, as he's slowly getting the support from his team, but J-Rich now left alive to respawn, and the respawn's definitely here for favoring the defense a little bit more than the offense, or significantly more so anyway. And that looks like it will be it, as Eagles unlikely to get back in time perhaps. And Stardust does manage to get the res off. So this fight taking a very long time to complete. And a huge Death Blossom is going to pick off the remainder. The only J-Rich and Roar left alive. Swinging away is Quandice. And after a very, very extended fight, the point is captured in its entirety by the attacker.
I have no idea what happened there. I'm going to be honest here. I have no idea how they were able to keep the points stalled for so long, but it did buy a lot of time for the Ultimates to come back online, and that's kind of what Reapers are really good for, especially for stalling points and buying more time. Being able to Wraith form and staying on point without really without kind of like quote unquote leaving the point, right? There's some heroes who, when they become invulnerable, will count as them leaving the point. Reaper being able to Wraith and kind of stay alive onto that cart makes it really easy, especially with his new changes where now that as he deals more damage, he gains back life, so he has some sort of life steal. That allows him to take a lot of these sustained fights where people aren't really paying attention to it, right? If he's able to drill in a lot of damage into the D.Va from behind or even get onto a squishy target, he's able to stay sustained for a very long time. But Kikoya, though, to be fair, is probably one of my standout players on this team right now. I think that he's going to be the reason why Unlucky 13 is able to put up such a strong fight. It is Zarya. He just has a very good understanding of how the hero works. He always manages to keep very high charge. One thing I do want to see more of, though, is more aggressive D.Va play from the side of Tunderstruck. One of the big reasons why you run D.Va is because of the ability to mitigate a lot of projectile damage. So if you're a D.Va player, you want to play a little more aggressive. You want to give your tank a little more breather in terms of regenerating shield. That means getting from the tank, especially the Reinhardt in this case, instead in front of Thundercleese. You want to get out in front of him. You want to absorb some of the damage, let him drop his shield, let him recharge, and more importantly, you want to use the fact that you can effectively, aggressively eat any ultimate projectile. You want to make sure that the enemy team is going to feel super pressured. If you keep a defense matrix up in their face, that's going to make them feel super uncomfortable and unwilling to ult. At the same time, manage the resource there. Make sure you have enough defense matrix to, in the case Kokia gets another ultimate again, and you're able to eat it, and that's going to be the win conditions for them.
The attackers now coming in after posting a rather long stall on that third point are now forced with the effect of capturing the entirety of the map. So let us see how they do take that fight into consideration. As Urkcypher on that high ground has done this a lot, has chosen to just walk in quietly in the back on a not so quiet hero and just assassinate the backline, but Lady Saturday, not to be outdone, finds him and puts him to sleep. So a fight will be taken 5v6 initially as Urkcypher now up, but Kikoya proving to be very much a threat in his own right, does the remainder of the damage and gets the initial kill on the Reinhardt of the attacking side. So Quandice going to charge in, is going to pick off Lost Contact again, and that is something I have said at least 5 times now. So this is going to be the defense posting an early initial hold here. They're now going to try and stagger RTO out a little bit, and they do finally kill him.
Yeah, that's insane. He was like at 100% charge, almost like less than a minute into that fight. And that's going to be what really makes the difference. Zarya is a very strong shield provider, but at the same time, what makes her really one of the most popular champions and one of the most jackable traits champions is the fact that once she gets high enough charge, she has a lot of damage to back it up. So you really have to make sure you deal with her well. This is kind of one of the competitions where you have to tell your team to do something like not shoot or not spam, just because you want to avoid that high level of ultimate charge that can come in. Urkcypher, meanwhile, in the background, just playing so aggressive because I think he trusts the ability for him to get out using the Wraith as well as getting to the shield, and that's a fat Urge Shatter taking down 4 people. It's fine, you demeched RTO, and that's almost good enough, giving you ability to fight. I don't know if you necessarily needed that Graviton Surge, maybe he just wants it for the highlight reel, maybe he's looking for play of the game at the end of it, and decides to drop, gets a great pickup. They do have quite a few ultimates back online. Urkcypher has the Death Blossom as well as Eaglet and Stardust both having more defensive ultimates available. Steve Webb Tactical Advisor up as well, so that's not really a huge loss that they committed that. More importantly, because they're playing up against more of a solo composition, you don't have to worry about Graviton Surge as much. He's not going to have as much value. And in the background, your Death Blossom gets used again, taking out J-Rich, and Urkcypher just goes, alright, I'm just going to ready to form back into the safety of my team, and now this is another push that has to be delayed because they're waiting for their 6th.
So always check your corners when coming in and out of the fight, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of the reasons why. So another fight just won basically off an early play, and this is going to be stalling a little bit more time on that clock. Now down to a minute 20. Roar, though, now getting the benefit of that Reaper v Reaper fight as he switched finally over to it. And they are looking to see if they can get in. J-Rich with that tackle visor from the high ground, looking to see if he can get anything. Forces everyone back into Cafe to escape that line of sight of Soldier. As Roar on the point now, brawling away. He's going to go directly in the back line. The trance comes out to prevent the damage of the Death Blossom, but RTO off the backs of that will throw the self-destruct in to pick up a triple kill. And this is looking very, very good now for the offense. It's quite put to sleep and then just shot by the offense. So this is going to be that point 1 captured as they get set for street space of Hollywood.
How did Roar not die when he was holding there? Yeah, like Transcendence did go off, the rest of them is usually going to be dead, but the rest of them needed to take him out. It's not like that Reaper is invulnerable when he does fall. If they were able to burst him down, that's an easy win right there, becoming a man up, and then RTO maybe at that point doesn't get a great 3-man ult off to save the game, but that's all in the past right now. They're going to be playing a slightly more aggressive here, as you see. Cypher just making so much problems in the backline. He actually needs to get more closer onto the car. Lady Saturday is getting some really quality sleeps on him, but at the same time, if he was on the car, he would be able to stall it just a little more. But the rest of the team right now, on the side of Unlucky Journey, is just very split up. Steve's just getting into good positions from above, and he's not being contested right now. RTO will leave him on the ground to fight this. He can actually fight him on high ground, especially with that Discord orb onto the Diva. But in the meantime, a big fat Earthshatter will put 3 on the ground, but no one goes down as Eagles takes out Thunderquest, as Thunderquest unable to really clean up anyone in that fight. J-Rich in the meantime will play super aggressive, and no one's being able to pressure him right now. He's staying alive, which I guess an orb on him is slightly more healing, but he's just running around and staying alive. No one's really being able to take him down. If he went down, that's a huge win for the side of the defense. Great Earthshatter in the meantime, though, taking down 4. Cypher has to reload, unfortunately, and not able to point his gun to Abby Ground and take as much damage as he can, but they are still able to clean up the rest of that fight. Side of Thunderstruck backing off slowly. They don't want to get staggered even more into that fight. They want to use the 3 people that are alive, and they want to engage as 6. In the meantime, though, Cypher playing his favorite corner on the map, as close to the as close to the enemy entrance as possible. He's looking for someone to run underneath him for him to be able to drop down. He actually does have ult, so this is going to be a very good opportunity if he's able to catch the support.
The triple kill comes in, and that's going to be the Death Blossom immediately on top of that without being in as RTO. This is actually going to be Kikoi burning that Graviton Surge to capture the Reinhardt on point. So even though that was a triple kill for the offense, the defense is looking a little bit, at least like they could stabilize here, as Roaring is forced to deal with Blondice. Blondice will go down, as now Kikoi the only one left alive. So he's finally coming back in as Roar with that Death Blossom trying to counter that Tactical Visor. The Tactical Visor gets the benefit early on, and Steve's going to get a second kill as he finds that last Helix Rocket. So a great reset there by the defense and a call to continue the fight and get that Death Blossom from Cypher, as they are going to continue at holding this point. They are now down to 45 seconds left as Tactical Visor comes from J-Rich. The Earthshadow misses. The Transcendence there to keep the team up. And it's going to be Cypher falling early on, but the trace come through, so Flanez gets the shoulder charge off on his fellow Reinhardt. And Kikoya will do the remainder and clean up at least 2 kills, or at least 1 kill on the mech and the Diva inside as well. Roar caught out somewhat by himself in that inside.
This is kind of where it gets a little more iffy, right? Because on the side of Unlucky 13 right now, they just have to buy some more time. They recognize that they have the rest of this point and then another point to really just stall out. So they're not even worried that much. They're willing to take these fights. And RTO not turning around to look for Koya. It does get such a Graviton Surge. And this should be actually a 1 fight for the side of Unlucky 13. They were able to save that res until they needed it, and J-Rich doesn't seem like he'll be enough. Lady Sarah trying to get as much support as he can. We'll throw a nade on there just for good measure, but unfortunately will not be able to touch the point. And that looks like the side of Unlucky 13 taking this map, evening up at 1-1.
They are now complete on this thing. They do capture 1 point, so a 3-1 final map score on Hollywood. And Reaper Wake Up is said, so Cypher put to sleep a couple of times, and in the breath of that match. So we get to see Kikoya on these highlight reel, as mentioned earlier. One of the things that definitely, like, I had 100 energy here on Zarya, as that Graviton Surge will come and clean up the remainder of the fight. Not something you see, or something that's slightly less frequently with the decay changes on her energy. So 100 energy Zarya, a Brawler and Bruiser definitely a very threatening thing. And one thing Kikoya has been doing is getting the Graviton Surge fairly quickly. So even when he does use it, and uses it frequently, he also gets it back frequently, which is something that good Zaryas do.
I'm actually really excited to see kind of what other maps these guys are going to take. Unlucky 13 did not look super strong in Dorado, but they definitely looked like they had a very strong defensive. They had a good idea of what they wanted to do on defense on Hollywood, which definitely makes it a lot better. I think ThunderClees will now have to manage the lobby. I'm not sure if he's used to doing this, but he will have to do this at this point because he is now lobby lead. But in the meantime, though, I think that hopefully we might be seeing some more Koth maps. I think that hybrid is something I think a lot of teams have a lot of practice on. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Unlucky 13 decide to maybe not go to Kings Row if they've seen how good. Unlucky 13 might be looking to bring them to Kings Row considering the performance that they had. But with Thunderstruck's pick on the board, they might not be willing to take another risk on Kings Row. They might be going to another Koth map.
We have a quick break here, as it's going to be we finished some behind the scenes stuff. One of our admin for the lobby having some technical issues, so we will deal with those. And as soon as we do that, we will get back into the whole whole game section. So we ask that you bear patience with us as we just figure out exactly what is going to be happening here in this next couple of spaces. I want to take this time to highlight Hollywood specifically, the map that we just came off of, and sort of what went right and what went wrong for both sides, in before we get to this next map, and sort of what we can sort of expect to see from these teams. I thought one of the things that definitely worked out better is that Thunderstruck managed to stagger out themselves and complete the map. They definitely managed to work as a team, I think, a little bit better than Unlucky 13 did. Or sorry, Unlucky 13 managed to work a little bit better as a team than Thunderstruck did in that last play. What are sort of your views or your take on that?
I just think that the side of Thunderstruck needs to really allow RTO to be more of a backline peeler than really more of like an offensive engagement, just because they have to recognize how the enemy team is playing. Like Cypher is very rarely going to be with the rest of the team. He's been flanking all day long, and especially when he does have Reaper Ultimate, he's going to be such a threat on your backline. We saw in one of those fights basically that Cypher was able to get into the backline, all taking out both supports in the fight, and making a fight that honestly would have been really in favor of Thunderstruck. They took advantage of the fact that they weren't really protecting their supports, took them out, and evened out the fight very easily, right? So I want RTO to understand that he doesn't need to be in the front line all the time, right? And this is something that's going to be really difficult because RTO has to balance being essentially a damage soak for ThunderClees in the front line, while also at the same time being able to transition and protect his back line from Reaper, right? So this might be a decision that the rest of the team needs to be a little more vocal on, right? The team needs to understand and say, like, okay, RTO, stay in the back line. We need you more here and play similarly, right? If RTO is going to be part of the more the attacking squad or the more offensive unit, that means that the supports need to be more cognizant of people coming into the flank. I very rarely see that the supports on Thunderstruck really look around, especially since Cypher is flanking almost 24/7.
I think one of the tough things for RTO here is that we've made a big deal of Kikoya and how he's like a super high energy all the time. And a diva who with the defensive matrix cannot eat that primary fire of Zarya. That's a very scary thing to be in that front line against such a high energy opponent. So I think that's definitely something that the team is going to have to manage as they move forward here, and sort of like ration the amount of energy or the amount of ultimate charge that Kikoya managed to pull off of RTO with that mech.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely one of the cases that teams really need to be aware of. More importantly, also, you have to kind of consider that with players who are of a higher caliber, you can see a lot more variety in what they pick, right? But for players who maybe only feel comfortable on 1 or 2 heroes, you have the ability, you have the luxury of actually knowing exactly what comp they're going to run into you, right? Most likely RTO is going to be running D.Va, right? Most likely Eagles is going to be on Zen. Most likely Cypher is going to be on Reaper, right? You can have all these checkboxes off, and then you can start making small adjustments, right? You can say like, okay, well, now that we know what composition that they're probably going to run, we're going to have to figure out how we want to play. So it's going to be a lot more about the teams discussing how they can better help each other, right? That's one of the biggest things about, I think, teams who are just starting up as a 6-man group that they don't really utilize is the fact that, honestly, you can communicate with your team. That's one of the best benefits you can have if you're all in a lobby together, if you're all in a call together. Being able to communicate simple things like ultimate charge, being able to communicate how enemy teams' tendencies are or how they're playing, that's going to be especially important.
Unlucky 13 chooses to defend first as we are now headed to King's Row. One of the maps that is actually very beneficial or lends itself more to this kind of slow-paced team fighting that we see with the Zarya and the Reinhardt. So I expect to see more of this play. On top of the fact that we haven't seen much variety from these teams in terms of the hero selection, aside from I think specifically Roar and Steve, who have flexed a little bit. I think aside from that, we're going to see a little bit more of this, and on a map that is more well suited to that style of play. So Thunderstruck again attacking, Unlucky 13 defending. We head into King's Row very, very shortly.
I want to see a Hanzo. I really want to see Hanzo on this map. It's just Hanzo is just such a fun character to really have on attacking side, especially for King's Row, just because that opening area, that first area, has so many different angles for him to fire from. It's really hard to contest high ground because you oftentimes the lead past statue, which is not exactly easy, especially if you have only a Reinhardt. Your D.Va is the only way you can really hard engage onto someone on the attacking side. But in the meantime, though, looks like compositions are almost exactly what I expected out of the gate. And J-Rich, though, hovering the Hanzo.
I hope he does it. I hope he does it.
If he told me that he listened to me say this, I will take credit for his pick. Obviously, I'm kidding. I don't take credit for his pick, but I do think Hanzo is especially strong if he's playing it on offense. And it looks like he definitely will be. He's still keeping it in there. It's going to be good, though, because if you can fire just a scouting arrow into kind of hotel or into the upper platform on high ground for defense, you do get a lot of good information. It's going to help you understand kind of where the defense is really positioning. You can kind of side out, like, if potentially there is a soldier on that side. And if RTO continues to roll with the Bastion, that could also be good information to know.
The setup is continuing. Let's take a quick look at the defense, though, and sort of how they're positioning, because their team composition is about what we expected, that Soldier and Reaper alongside the Zarya, Reinhardt, and Mercy. But I sort of want to, they're playing actually not quite as passively as some teams, but also not quite as aggressively as sometimes we see otherwise.
I think they're actually playing pretty standard from what our expectations are for them. I think Cypher, being expected to flank all the time, is playing just enough where he's not going to get caught out by the arrow. They actually don't sight him at all, so they actually might walk right past them. And J-Rich probably isn't going to check into inner theater, so if he does end up first on the balcony, he's going to die very quickly.
Cypher sees the Reaper, and J-Rich is going to get an early initial kill, so that Hanzo coming into play almost immediately, as he is going to see if he can get remainder of that fight. Thunderclizz goes very, very low, but with that Biogranate from Ana, does manage to survive. And it's going to be a brawl here on the point as J-Rich with that Hanzo gets that Sonic up, sees the Soldier, manages to, doesn't quite hit that scatter arrow though. Cypher hit with a body shot from the grenade, or from the arrow I should say, and remainder cleaned up very easily. So this is looking very, very good now for the attackers. They're going to capture on the first push, and they are going to try and see if they can get more kills here. As J-Rich now 85% to his ultimate, that Dragon Strike. As Kikoya lagging behind just a little bit at 50, which is, here comes that Dragons. It's going to capture the Reinhardt in it, but Is there enough to push him out and into the spawn room? And there is indeed. So Kokoya will turn around and get Thundercleaves, but it's not quite enough as Urkcypher, they're getting another kill. So the defense are going to stabilize a little bit. They are going to burn that res to try and take this fight immediately and push the attackers to retreat for the moment. There it is, as J-Rich will go down. So this is the attackers, well, a great first capture, but a great recontest by the defense as the payload not even past that first bend yet.
I want Unlucky 13 to play more aggressively. When Urkcypher did that initial flank on first point, he got taken out very early. His team should have been honestly rushing in to help support him, right? Buy him some little more room, allow him to back up behind the shield if they need to. And nice, Klondike actually steps right through the shield and puts down a huge Earth Shatter, and Urkcypher redeems himself for that early pick by getting a great 3-person Death Blossom off, and now he's just chasing J-Rich, and J-Rich will go down to make that a quad. This is actually a really good position for the defense to kind of occupy right now. The side of the offense doesn't have a lot of options to engage. They can go into the alley to the right, as they might be doing in order to avoid that central chokehold, but at the same time, if the defense maintains a strong aggressive hold, Eagle stays safe, and as long as that sneak remains popular, it's actually a really strong position.
As the contest comes in, Urkcypher forced to Wraith out. This is, they're fishing for the engage. Roar will take down Urkcypher, so the counter Reaper going, and quite now caught out a little bit from his team, is forced to just bounce back. Klondike will charge in to create a little bit of space, as the Fire Strike will take J-Rich out, and J-Rich now on that Soldier. As in the backline is Roar, and the Transcendent's going to come in to try and keep the team up, does prevent the nano-boosted Reaper from getting many kills with his ultimate, as the Earthshatter comes through, and there's still no follow-up. So this is, they're forcing ultimates now out of the attackers as both the Earthshatter and Sound Barrier use back-to-back, so the defense will hold. The cart does move forward slowly and slightly, but the defenders will get another team wipe here, as J-Rich, trying to get out, just runs through Bookstore and gets caught by himself against a swinging Reinhardt, and that is not an optimal position for a soldier to be.
Yeah, that was actually a really weird timing of ultimates. So Roar kind of ulted.
My ultimate is charging.
When you're Reaper, you have to make sure your ultimate's like not super obvious. Eagles was literally watching him walk into him to ult, and all Eagles had to do was just press Q, and in addition, Kioa actually put a shield on him, so he did get a lot of charge off of that as well. So you need to make this a lot less obvious, and enemies they come a little late as well. Eagles taking out Roar makes it a lot easier. You no longer have the air support, and now they will be pushing the rest of the team back up. If they can get one more catch, I think this would be really good. Find themselves a little more time. There's still 2 minutes 30 seconds on the clock, so the side of Tunderstruck has a lot of room to work. But right now, with how the side of Unlucky 13 is playing, they're playing very smart, very defensively, and more importantly, they're not giving up ground very easily. I'm really glad that Urkcypher's feeling comfortable to play this aggressive, and most importantly, with that Zarya shield, it's going to make it a lot easier for his life. Another triple kill, quadra kill. Urkcypher is getting so much room. People aren't respecting how much damage he can do with an ultimate.
And that's going to be the remainder of that. Kills come through. The only one left alive is Roar on the far right in the air. But as mentioned, Urkcypher, so Roar will take the counter kill on his counterpart. The one thing Urkcypher is doing very, very well is knowing when to get out. So we didn't see an example of it on first point as he did die, but ever since then, he knows when to Wraith and walk out. And not only that, but he has the support of his team to do so. So not only is he just taking the space that's being given to him, he knows when that space is no longer available. So an excellent play so far from Urkcypher. He's just walking behind Thundercleaves here. Thundercleaves forced to turn around, and a great sleep dart there from Lady Saturday. Klondike will be trapped in a Graviton Surge alongside the rest of his team, and Transcendence comes out to prevent the barrage from doing much, but the counter barrage will do a lot more, as now Kokoya and Klondike, the two tanks in the standing in that front line, just swinging away, and now Roar the only one left alive. So time has withered off the clock, and was once a really fast point A take is no longer that, as they are now down to only 60 seconds left to capture the remainder of point B.
60 seconds.
I don't know if Roar is telling Lady Saturday when he's going to ult, because this is the second time that the Nano Boost has come in after the ult has been fully used, which is kind of, not really the point. You want a Nano Boost ultimate so you're doing a lot more damage. damage. And maybe while it might not have been that big of a deal because they're ulting in the Transcendence anyway, it still speaks to kind of like how disoriented that their team is really being this far. Klondike though holding the shield up will get additional shield support, making sure that they're able to eat out the entirety of Jay Rich's ultimate span. And meanwhile, that great Earthshatter will put a few people down, but Koya will take a trade in the process of Roar that take down steals. So you're not going to see that fair presence available. And Klondike playing very aggressive right now, runs in the buys in the space for the rest of the team. I guess he recognizes the fact that they are playing on a clock right now with only 12 seconds left. So as long as they keep on stalling, they should be fine. Urkcypher does manage to wait for out there. Roar will burn, recall in order to get back in, and oh man, throws down a bomb which Judge catches Stardust, taking out full support in the process. Another good counter Earthshatter does manage to knock down 3, but all it's doing is stalling out for the rest of the fight. Steve needs to make it off back into safety. He needs to make sure that he can stay alive and not get staggered. Him dying would not be good for the progress of the rest of the team. War will chase him in the meantime though, but Urkcypher does manage to get out alive, and good shot from Zarya right there, making sure that he is able to teleport out or shadow step out in time with that shield.
One thing I want to highlight there is Roar has definitely carried the second point here as he got 2 key kills and forced out support ultimates and then confirmed another kill, which is going to put this next team fight at a 5v6 advantage for his team. So Thundercliff charges in, misses Klondike, and Brawl continues. They're now less than 3 meters away from the point as a Transcendence will come out. J-Rich not going to get value with his tac visor, but does force them to turn around and pay attention to him. Eagles no longer able to support his team with the Discord Orb, and this is going to be now the last fight. Overtime ticking out. There's that Graviton Surge off the point. That's going to pull them all out. And a well-placed ultimate by Kikoya means that there is going to be no point to capture here as they now search to attack here on King's Row.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the cases where I was talking about when your diva needs to play a little more aggressive in the context of being willing to eat up a Graviton Surge. That should be one of your first worries once you realize that enough time has passed where, Kikoya is probably going to get another ultimate up. You need to start saving that defense matrix for resources. Yes, it does suck that you have to somehow, save that ultimate save the defense matrix for the Zarya when you could be using it to deny Stee damage, right? Or denying Urkcypher damage, but at the same time, you have to realize that their big win condition here is landing a Zarya bubble that's going to pull you off the cart, that's going to condense you guys all together, and that's going to be something super important on their side, though. But at the same time, Jay Rich, Roar especially, did redeem himself. I think that Roar getting that great 2-kill on both support players really helped them push through that streak phase effectively, even though it kind of looked like that Unlucky 13 was able to kind of stabilize a little more and recover ground. Great job on Roar for chasing down those kills. And now this is exactly where the variety of this is all coming in. He has switched on to Mei, which will give themselves a little more zone control, especially if you're able to put up the wall, separate people coming into that initial chokehold. More importantly, once you get that that Blizzard, that's going to be so important for contesting the point and making sure that your team has enough time to get back onto the point.
We now see that Roar is going to be playing up really aggressively by this wall, or by the gate, I should say. And something that we saw a long time ago, mostly in Season 2, is that you would wall this choke when the Reinhardt walked forward and capture him out from the team. So maybe we'll see a little bit more of that, as this is going to be, again, a similar composition, Steel on Pharah, so a little bit more air control for that team to give spread out the range of damage coming in, making it a little bit less easy to predict where and how to react to. The team, Urkcypher, again on Reaper, as they're going to choose to walk forward here. Koya looking forward in, managed to walk back just in time on that wall, so Roar is forced to bring that back down. An excellent read by Kikoya there, as he does get out, and this is going to be an initial approach as Urkcypher falling around the backside. Klondike does get charged in, but Thundercleaves rather, with no support from his team, does not manage to confirm that kill. And again, both teams poking away at each other around the statue area, as Urkcypher again through Hotel looks to try and see if he can get something, doesn't find what he's looking for. But the 2 tanks sectioned off, and Klondike says, I'm having enough of this. May wall just takes Roar out of the equation entirely with a great shoulder charge, as now the fight again going in favor of the attackers very early on, as it's going to be Thundercleaves and RTO outside of mech, but Klondike will be taken down by another shoulder charge from Thundercleaves, and it's going to be the defenders looking to see if they can recontest. Does not look like they will get back in time, as it's going to be Urkcypher pushing up very aggressively to force them back.
Yeah, that was actually a really good job from the side of Unlucky 13. They kind of recognized that if they put enough pressure into Hotel, that would force the side of Thunderstruck to really rotate over. And the moment they rotated Thunderclaze over, they were able to pressure that main chokehold, knowing that there was no Reinhardt threat. And because there's no Reinhardt threat, if you do have a Reinhardt in there, you're going to negate a lot of damage and allow your DPS dealers to, honestly have a lot more freedom there. It would have been better, like I said before, for Thunderclaze maybe to not leave that main entrance, knowing that they do have Roar, who's able to put up a wall in theater in case the offensive game.
Roar forced to cryo freeze out. Klondike will charge back in, and he does block the majority of the Earthshatter. No, he doesn't. The shield does not come up in time, but there is no follow-up there as Klondike's not punished for not having his shield up. Does get the Earthshatter off. Earthsniper is going to get two-piece with his, as the Blizzard is now forced out on cart, but the Transcendence will keep everyone pretty healthy here as Steeg takes down that, takes out the Tac Visor, takes out Lady Saturday now on the Lucio. And this is going to be a smooth rolling, at least through that initial part, as it's going to be a clean take with the ultimate rotation. J-Rich just forced to sprint away back to safety now. The yellow box of victory just at the second point, and 4 minutes and 8 seconds left to do so. So look for the fights are ever slowly inching together.
Yeah, this actually is really good from the side of Unlucky 13. They've been very good with keeping their ultimates alive. And now RTO will send out a Diva Bomb, and oh man, Stardust gets flipped right on the edge of this shield. The Klondike will charge in to try to get a good pick off. They do trap Lady Saturday in the corner of Lady Saturday, able to bounce right back out. This is a 4v5 right now, so they should be able to, back up safely. And now with that fire strike going right through the shield, they are able to neutralize slight man disadvantage using even greater man disadvantage. Steve trying to run back and forth, trying to stay alive. But in the meantime, though, the Res will come and bring all three back. And this is actually kind of an awkward position as they do manage to bring them right behind Thunderclaze, so it's really for Thunderclaze to just turn around. But in the meantime, though, Eric Cypher being able to take out Thunderclaze in the process. Graviton Surge gets dropped, keeping 4 people in there, and that's just easy work when everyone is there. Great job from Kokia playing a great ultimate yet again. He's going to be someone that they really need to deal with. RTO needs to be able to eat up some of these Graviton Surges, Graviton ultimates, if they're able to stay in this game.
That is going to be King's Row completed, so a 2-1 lead here as the final map score also 2-1. A very odd end of map fight, as there was an Earthshatter from way behind that took down pretty much the entirety of the team. So Unlucky 13 coming in, and Koya with a great Graviton Surge yet again, as it's going to be, I'm guessing that Graviton Surge with the hammer just swinging away in it, and indeed it is. The big map-ending play from Klondike and Koya combined. And that's the end of that map.
Yeah, I really like the discipline that they kind of showed. And this is kind of where Thunderstruck was able to regain some momentum. RTO is definitely a key player, though, honestly. Yeah, so I think that is Unlucky 13 picking up the 2-1 victory, I think.
So Unlucky 13 looks like they take the series, as we do see the victory coming in from Unlucky 13. A rather dominating performance on the last 2 maps by Unlucky 13, as it's going to be that victory. So we will see Unlucky 13 further in, as they do take this map, and they are looking very, very good.
Yeah, but really good job there. And I'm kind of still confused why Thunderstruck took Unlucky 13 back to another Koth map. It kind of seemed like with that specific composition, Unlucky 13 is just more, is just more stable on defense. So it's going to be really hard to push through. And that was kind of the big message that we did see there. They play together as a team so well, right? Having Zarya basically be this hybrid DPS here, right? If Kokoya is going to the front line, he's able to absorb so much damage because everyone's just targeting shields, like his shields. They're not really accounting for the fact that if Zarya gets enough shield damage and enough shield pressure, he's going to have a lot of charges. He's going to be able to play extremely aggressively, right? And having that beam, having that high level charge, it makes RTO or any diva in particular, that's going to make it really difficult for them to, keep their defense matrix up and as well as play slightly more aggressive. So I would like to see teams maybe take them elsewhere, right? As we did see, Escort did not seem like a map that Unlimited team felt super comfortable on. But more importantly, I want to see more Koth. I want to see more teams, especially those with variety, right? Steve had a lot of variety in what he could play. I really would have wanted to see him utilize that on Koth, where it's going to be more impactful.
I'm fully in agreement with you. I thought Unlucky 13, perhaps not the strongest initial showing, but they definitely turned it on in the last two maps. So I'm playing towards their strengths. Definitely, I mean, Kikoya, how much more can we talk about this Zarya play that's coming out from there? High energy all the time, frequent graviton surges, not just not just frequently, but good ones. There was that one that was ended up by RTO, and that was slightly unfortunate. But ever since then, there's been 4-man grabs that just complete the map. So I definitely look to see if they have a choice, they will take it back to places where Zarya is much stronger. And I mean, King's Row is an excellent example of that. But with that, we will have our next match coming up very shortly, as it's going to be 9:30 the next map. We will continue with the Scrub Cup NA Finals here on our twitch.tv/OW Scrub Cup. So look for that as we just wait to see when the next teams are going to be brought into the lobby. Until then, we'll take a short intermission just to get everything in play, and we'll see you again. Welcome back, everyone, to the Scrub Cup. We are now in the Scrub Cup NA Grand Finals. And our contestants, our teams who are chasing that #1 spot are Unlucky 13 and I Need Healing. I'm back here casting LaFon, your host and caster, and with me Scribe. Scribe, what are you looking for here in this Grand Finals of the Scrub Cup?
Honestly, I'm just looking for super solid play, good teamwork, and of course, a positive attitude towards the game.
I mean, we saw that before in our semifinals, so we hopefully will get to see it again here in this Grand Finals. Route 66 is our first map. That was the one that is our neutral map. So Unlucky 13 will be defending first. I Need Healing are going to be our attackers in red. They get set and see their team compositions initially on here in this first point of Route 66.
I just find it funny that these team compositions are so similar. I would have actually expected people to play more like maybe a little more Lucio. I think that I kind of find it funny there's actually a lot of Zenyatta being played. I think Lucio is actually a hero that I think that it's relatively easy to learn, and the speed boost and having the speed advantage over your enemy team is actually is extremely strong. I think that's actually something that people don't really account for. Being able to get back to point quicker, being able to round corners or offset timings that enemies might have, it's all extremely important. But at the same time, when you're running almost the mirror composition, Kikoya running the Zarya against Tasha Top's Diva. If RTO had a hard time dealing with Zarya in the previous game, let's hope Tasha Top's has a little bit better of a time. I do expect them maybe to kind of have Koya kind of pegged down. I hope they know that that's going to be a Zarya coming out of spawn, or that's going to be waiting for them at Big Girls. But in the meantime, though, I think this is going to be really interesting. It's all going to be about this first team fight held at Big Girls. If high ground is going to be such a huge factor on, if the side of Unlucky 13 can get the edge on it, especially being able to hold them at this first corner, that could mean a lot for the momentum of the rest of the season.
Will that come to pass? We shall see, as the attackers now incoming, looking on that cart. Bastion on that Reaper, so going to look to go toe-to-toe with Urk Cypher. The Reaper v Reaper battle. Bastion does not like what he sees up top, so he will retreat to cart. Now looking to see if he can get a bit of a flank going on. So both teams, they're both eyeing each other, looking for that first opening for that engagement. As Koi trying to build up that early initial energy. Bastion caught out by Urk Cypher, but Urk Cypher taking the worst of that engagement, at least early on. Bastion does go down to see from that long range poke from that soldier, and Urk Cypher's going to come in on the Reinhardt, doing what he does best and take out the tank lineup. So the attackers will have to retreat as Tasha Tops will suicide to get back in mech and regroup with the team.
Is charging.
Honestly, I've always been wondering why Urk Cypher actually plays so aggressive. I think it's actually because the rest of the team, he has so much faith in the rest of the team keeping him alive, as well as providing backup fire, right? The fact Steve kind of sits on Big Girls uncontested is huge, right? Because if he's not getting a defense matrix in space, he's able to utilize high ground to the best of his ability. Furthermore, Koya understands that Urk Cypher normally plays very aggressive, so by giving him that shield, he's able to buy himself a little more time before he needs to raid the farm.
And if I'm Tasha Tops, I'm in a bit of a conundrum here. Do I stay with my team and peel with taking away the Reaper's frontline, or do I dive up into Cement's face and try and take away, or sorry, do I dive up into C's face, my mistake, the opponent's soldier, and take away that long-range damage? And there is really no correct option here. Urk Cypher about to be assaulted by the entirety of the team, but he turns around, gets the first damage, wraiths out, and it's going to be the Bastion who's looking to try and get in, but doesn't get what he wants, and he also forced to wraith in turn as the two Reapers go at each other. And on the cart moving ever so slowly forward as Urk Cypher gets the upper hand in that engagement. Cement trying to take that 1v1 across map with Steve, but Eagle says no, as it's going to be, again, I Need Healing forced to retreat as they are down players and they just don't have that initiation as the Sixshow just chooses to take that Earthshatter in. He sees an opportunity. Klondike's now caught out all by himself, and he is going to go down. So a good turn here, but tactical advisor coming in from Cement to try and clean up the remainder of this fight, and looks like he will in fact do that as Eagles and Urk Cypher doing a death boss and booped away. He does get his Ogdenash now on a Lucio, but that's the only one left alive, and Urk Cypher still not being forced. It's really not really being contested. He does get out after getting 2 kills and forcing a res out of Squidgy.
Yeah, that was actually really good momentum to the side of I Need Healing, but now on the other side, Unlucky 13 has the advantage. They have quite a few ultimates available, and Urkside for taking that touch top means that there's no way to stop the Gravity Surge if it was needed to come out, but I don't think it actually needs to. Bastion with the Squirt Orb in the air, trying to do as much damage as he can, and Squiggy being that pocket mercy, he understands exactly what the win condition is here. He needs to keep his Pharaoh alive, but in the meantime, it looks like I Need Healing will need to back up. I kind of like this res mainly because you give him more opportunities to build up ultimate in the future, and furthermore, you just want to have momentum on your side. Stardust probably feels a little more comfortable knowing that Iggy has that ultimate in case that they do get engaged upon, but more importantly, Kakoya still has that Graviton Surge available. Bastion switching off, Bastine switching off of the Pharaoh onto the Tracer, trying to get into the harassment in the backline. Oh no, is this going to be a Cloud9?
I've got you on my side.
We are now in the last 27 seconds of the game, but Bastion not quite getting away with that backpack. As the Sister now left all alone on card, he's sort of caught out by himself. Tashtop's not coming to the backline, but this means that Ogdenashin and Squiggy are left all alone up top in the face of a Reaper and a Reinhardt. And this is a very unfortunate place to be. Tashtops will take down Steve with that launched self-destruct. This Urkscypher will pick up Cement with that Death Blossom. We are now in overtime, so Eagle's forced to use that Transcendence to try and nullify as much of damage as possible. This is a very unfortunate thing, as that is a remarkable change. They turn around and they take the fight away from point, as they do end up capturing Do I Need Healing. They see an opportunity and they take it, as this is going to be point 1 captured. So a good turnaround here from I Need Healing.
So we were talking about how Diva should be playing more aggressive to make sure that they can eat up Graviton Surges, but at the same time, Koya should have been more aggressive with his Graviton Surge. Right? He understands that this is basically the last fight they need to take. If he drops a good Graviton Surge, they should be in the clear in terms of being able to stop the progression of the enemy team and force it onto another round, right? So if Koya was playing slightly more aggressive, throws down the Graviton Surge earlier, allows the rest of his team to buy himself some more room, and being able to just hit targets that are standing in place, that would have been really strong. But they still have time on their side. They're only down to a minute 39 seconds on the side of I Need Healing. So the side of Unlucky 13 should be able to at least play more aggressively to force them to take more fights, and hopefully in that process increase the slow.
A great Earth Shatter from the side of I Need Healing. A 6-shot comes in, picks off 3. There is no real follow-up, as it's actually going to be the defense getting the kills here. As Urkscypher left yet again, he hasn't died yet since he got out from that backline, and he's just been raining down damage on the support. So this is a very unfortunate place for I Need Healing to be in. They're now down to the last 70 seconds of the round, and they are forced to reset here and re-engage.
Your support has arrived.
The ultimate economy definitely on the defensive side right now, as they still have that Graviton Surge, they still have the Earth Shatter, and the defensive ultimates are coming online here. Blondeye shoulder charges in, doesn't capture quite what he's looking for, but he does force the attacking side to sort of change their angle of attack and attack Bastion now on Pharah. Just getting a little bit of value here, take those supports out by himself. Uncontested now in the air, still at 200 HP, has not even been damaged yet. As Blondeye will get the Earth Shatter off, but there's just simply no one else there other than Urkscypher to try and take any sort of damage in the backline. As Squiggy will bring Bastion back, the solo res to try and keep this cart moving, as we are now down to the last 20 seconds of the round, and the attackers looking very strong here in terms of how they're taking this fight. As Stardust simply cannot leave spawn to try and get that res, just cannot get out of this top area here.
Yeah, the Graviton Surge needs to come down now. He was basically not even up against Diva, who had mech for the most part. Dropping that Graviton Surge basically means it's almost an instantaneous forward kill if he gets any support whatsoever. Steve comes out, takes down Tato Baj, and will get supported by the Transcendence, makes sure everyone stays alive. Bastine uncontested in the air right now, and yeah, Stardust in the background though will be ready to get the res down. He needs to start resing right now. Does get a great 5-man res, resets the fight almost completely, and Kakoya, please, you have a Graviton, just use it, man. You need to throw it onto the ground. He's not using it. Finally gets it down, but it's too late. All his teammates are dead. And luckily, Urkscypher may have been able to take the rest of the fight with him, but with 4 people still on the point, they are able to push it all the way to last stage.
A shout out there to both Bastion and Ognash. Either one of them got a boot, which just forced Urkscypher away from the cart and away from that Graviton Surge. And I want to see Kakoya be a little more aggressive with these Graviton. There was at least 3 opportunities there for a good Graviton Surge that would have just ended the that attacking round right there, but instead, when the rest of his team had already fallen is when the Graviton came out and there just was no follow-up. But they are now on that last third of the map, one of the hardest points to capture, and they only have 60 seconds in which to do it. So I Need Healing definitely up against the wall here, as they look to try and take this first engage to I Need Healing. Bastin now showing some flexibility on the Genji, as a big Earthshadow is going to come out from Klondike, but he misses his charge as he hits the cart instead, forced to just swing away, not able to get the damage from the shoulder charge, and instead is going to go down. But Steve, trying to support his team as best as possible, gets a kill off on Bastin, who's trying to get that flank off, and Urkcypher, as he's done so often, playing that flanking Reaper, comes in with that short-range damage. In the background, though, now Cement with the Tactical Visor, and he's going to be assisted by Sixjo in that front line as the card continues to move forward, but Urkcypher just brawling away on the point, and took a very long time for him to go down. Eagles now left alone to hold the keep, as it's going to be Bastin on the Reaper yet again, and they are going to take it out. Stardust with the res, looking to see if there's something there. Klondike will go down. This is an opportunity, as we are now in overtime. Earthshadow whiffs hugely as Stardust sidesteps at the last moment. And that res is still there, so that's something for the attackers to be cognizant of. So I Need Healers do force out the first support on as Eagles will go down. Stardust taken out by the Helix Rocker from Cement. And both teams jockeying for position, but this looks like it could be it as Urkcypher takes down 3. There's a 3-man res, as the Earthshadow will come in from the rear, as Klondike will capture the remainder of the team, and that looks like it is going to be the furthest that I Need Healing is going to get on this map. And round 1 complete at 2 and just over a half points.
Score.
Yeah, Tasha Top's actually playing a very good diva. We talked about before how sometimes you have to bridge between supporting your front line, supporting your back line. She was able to, Diva was able to effectively, keep a lot of the back line alive. The last bit of that last Urkcypher ultimate was a little unfortunate, maybe because I don't think the Diva knew exactly where he was ulting from, so unable to really contain that. But if he had gotten Defense Matrix up, maybe it's a completely different fight. But you can't be too upset about getting it that far in the third point. Essentially, that means that the side of Unlucky 13 will have to basically push it all the way, not entirely, but they will have to get slightly beyond the straightaway, and that's almost as difficult once you get into that last straightaway anyway. So the compositions aren't really being switched up all that much, but I really like I Need Healing's ability to play as a team. They definitely seem like more deathball composition. They're staying a lot closer together, and because of that, it makes it really difficult for teams who are trying to flank in order to beat all of them.
That is some. Oh dear. That is something Urkcypher has been remarkably good at, though. He's getting in the back line, dealing damage, getting out, and really just being a harassment to everyone on a hero that is not exactly known for his high mobility options. His Reaper has definitely been something that teams have had to look out for, and that continues on this map. But with that said, the composition comes in. We're going to see an identical composition that Unlucky 13 has really been running over the course of this tournament so far, that we've seen both in the semifinals and the grand finals here. That slow composition that really builds around Urkcypher and his Reaper play. On the other side, we see again another mirror composition, or near mirror composition. Tash Top's on the Diva, and a good Diva that they've been playing so far, but we will get to see that again as the two teams start to engage. Urkcypher living up to what we have seen from him so far and taking the long way around in an attempt to find his prey. But you see the two teams size each other up here around Big Earls, that first bend on Route 66.
Everyone,
I Need Healing, setting up on the top of Big Earls, of course, and they're looking to take the first fight here. Not really an early fight, as they're already halfway through this first point, and the first kill is going to go for the attackers. As Unlucky 13's Eagles will get the kill off on Bastin. And Klondike with that Fire Strike, not eaten by Tash Tops, will take down Ogdenash, the Mercy player, for I Need Healing. So they will need healing, but they will not get it. As Sixjo caught out by himself here, as the two tanks only being able to support by his Zenyatta, and with that, really that lack of healing, Aquarius is going to go through and brawl their way, as that's going to be 2 kills for the Zarya player. And this is looking very, very good here for Unlucky 13, as they're just going to push through point A with remarkably uncontested.
Yeah, I actually think that the big thing that they didn't do there was engage. The side of I Need Healing kind of played extremely passively, and especially when you lose that first pick, you need to all back up as a unit, regroup, and death ball again. That's how you're going to get a lot of your advantages back. The fact is they weren't able to do that in time, and when they were one man down, because they were waiting for all their 6 people to be together, that meant that the side of Unlucky 13 was able to take initiative, and Koi is just going off right now. He's getting so much charge, and the fact is he's just able to chase everyone down. There's not a really great answer for him. People aren't together to burst them together, and that's what you really need to do with Zarya. You need to force them to use shield stuff optimally, and if possible, not shoot into the shield until the cooldown is off, and then burst them down immediately.
This is going to be allowing the side of Unlucky 13 just move forward. Stardust does go down, so that is finally a kill for the defenders. But they are just going to push this cart nearly all the way through this second point, and they do have the ultimate with which to take a fight. Here comes that Death Blossom in the background, forcing that Transcendence out. So perhaps, and they're going to force Tactical Advisor out as well. So even if they do lose this push, it was a relatively good economy push for them. 1 ultimate per 2 as they come up on 5 ultimates for themselves. So Urkcypher not quite able to get out. Cement takes the final bullets and sends Urkcypher back to spawn. So that's going to be Unlucky 13 resetting, re-engaging for that next fight. But they do have a lot of time. Nearly 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. And they have not very far to capture at all.
Yeah, that's actually almost kind of the issue right now, is that they need to play extremely close to the point right now. Klondike does have ultimate if he needs it, and Stardust, of course, in the backline will have the ability to restart the fight if need be. Urkcypher playing extremely aggressive right now. He is getting good support from his team. Raid forms out, will be able to stay alive. Steve gets the first pick using Helix Rocket, and Bastion ults right into a Transcendence, and that's not what we want. OG Dinesh trying to get, at least some more help for a secret player, unable to do it. And Diva will drop the bomb, but Klondike's charged instead of puts the shield up. Luckily, Stardust will resume the fight, giving them back the momentum, great momentum right there. Being able to make sure they are able to take this fight. Even though they did have the man advantage, he wants to guarantee it by making sure all 6 players are up. Squiggy using that Transcendence, trying to keep everyone topped off while the rest of the team does come in. The Gravity Surge does get used, dropped right down there, and they will double into it with a Death Blossom as well. And OG Dinesh gets the res in, and this is a fight that they do not have the luxury of winning. Ski, in the meantime, though, in the backline, will get Tactical Vibes up. Defense Matrix from Tasha Top's actually almost ignoring them, allowing them to get right behind, taking out the support players. And now with only the tanks alive, and of course, Mini Diva outside the neck, this does not look for them to hold open the point. With 5 players or 3 players on the payload right now, they should be able to get into that 3rd stage with 3 minutes and 41 seconds remaining.
That is a lot of time to get not very far at all. They do have to get, 3/4 of the way through this 3rd point. That said, they did force a lot of ultimates out of Unlucky 13 in that last fight, as Klondike took a charge that was ill-advised and died to a Diva Bomb that was rather not really able to do much in the grand scheme of things to just walk forward. But they do continue forward. 6-Show will take down Urkcypher, who is on that flank, and Cement with that Tactical Advisor. Not going to get any the ultimate itself, but they do burn down the Reinhardt shield, and that's going to allow the kills to come in here for I Need Healing, as Bastion is going to go into that close engagement, and as Reaper does so well, just chew up the players in it. And that's going to be Unlucky 13 I Need Healing stabilizing for the moment at least.
Yeah, I Need Healing doing a very good job right there, understanding that their big weak condition, especially with the Reaper on defense, is to basically death ball, run into the other team. I really like that pretty early Tactical Visor from Cement in order to force them from really rounding the corner game to come to positioning. But right now, they should be in a relatively good place again as Steve gets knocked down by that Fire Strike. And yeah, this is exactly what they need to do. They want to force Urkcypher to start flanking, right? They want to ball together towards that Reaper, who they know is coming from the backside. They want to make sure that they have eyes on him, and right now, when they're all balled together, it's very hard to get picks, and this is going to be very difficult as 2 minutes left on the clock. They're burning a lot of time for this last push.
One thing I want to highlight there is Cement got attacked by Urkcypher, but chose to retreat and call in help from his side Reaper, and Reaper just, Bastion took him out. But Urkcypher on that backline, Ashtub just doesn't turn around in time. That means that Urkcypher gets a free kill. The Earthshatter blocked almost in the entirety by Klondike, but the return is not, as that is going to be Sixjo and Bastion teaming up to take down a few more, and that is a Transcendence I do not like seeing from Eagles there, as their fight is pretty much over, and you just use an ultimate for really no gain whatsoever.
Yeah, this is one of those fights where realistically, if you can use the Transcendence to buy some more team for the rest of your team to catch up, and OG Ganesh still coming all the way back from the rest of the old side of the map in order to get it in, and that's a huge kill right there. Neopalm will catch out Urkcypher as he tries to get behind the pole, but that is huge on the side of Unlucky 13, getting that ability to get those wrap-up kills, especially since Urkcypher able to burn the ultimate, and of course the counter res from Stardust, who waits it out, and that's super smart Mercy ultimate. Did not panic and waited for their other ultimate to come out first, giving that slight advantage because they are going to be invulnerable for that small period of time.
Got you in my sight.
Here comes the tackle advisor from on high from Stee, and Stee is going to come in and take out two from the backline as Klondike gets Earthshatter down. That is going to be it here, as I Need Healing cannot contest, as Stee gets a 4-piece there by himself, and that is Unlucky 13 taking Dorado. Or sorry, I should say Route 66 with a score of 3-2.
That was actually really good last-minute ultimate management. That's actually something I've noticed that Unlucky 13 does really well, is they're really good at managing their ultimates. Eagles will only ultimate in two cases, right? One, if he notices the Reapers in the backline, will instantaneously ult, or two, if he needs to keep his team topped off. I actually think that if Eagles had bought in a little more time for the rest of the team, the rest of the team would have been able to, come together and rejoin themselves and spawn and be able to stay alive, and that would have been really good. He did manage to buy enough time for us to catch up, knowing that the spawn actually isn't that far from where they all died, and that allowed Urkcypher to get into position, get that really good team wipe, and allow them to push all the way to the finish.
Map 1 going to Unlucky 13 here, as so we will get to see our next map in this coming up here. So we will get to go through all the bans, of course, and then we will get into our next map as Unlucky 13 takes a 1-0 lead in this series. And off of some really great play by yet again Urkcypher, who plays this style of flanking Reaper that gets the full support of his team and is really working out. I mean, we saw things like, just in the last map in Route 66, Ogden Ash just went down to Urkcypher just basically walking around and left-clicking him down for basically for free. And that's just like a microcosm of something that Urkcypher's done over the breadth of not just the maps in this series, but the maps in the entirety that we've seen him today. What do you think that I Need Healing can do to sort of mitigate the effect that Urkcypher, combined with Kikoya actually, in the form of Zarya, what do you think that I Need Healing can do to mitigate some of the effects of that play?
I'm gonna be honest, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, there's simple stuff where you can kind of say, let's just outskill them, right? Let's just make sure we can predict where it's coming. But it's really just about managing your ultimates a lot better, managing your abilities and recognizing when you need to engage and disengage. That's not as clear when you're not super familiar with, how this game is supposed to be, or you don't have such a super high level vision of how this game is supposed to be played. So that's going to be one of the toughest parts. I think realistically, they can just play their own game. They do have to recognize, though, that their composition is going to have some weaknesses, and D.Va is going to need to be the crux of that entire composition. And more importantly, they need to start recognizing that your D.Va has to counter basically 3 to 4 different units at a time, and because of that, you need to make sure your D.Va is getting all the support they need. Sometimes you're going to have to pocket them. Sometimes you're going to have to make sure you take out some of the other players out of the fight, right? So maybe have her not worry about the flanking Reaper as much, right? And maybe put an Ana on there, right, to sleep that Reaper immediately, or anything else like that.
I think one thing we can definitely look at is Unlucky 13, while they have shown a lot of confidence, they're not without weaknesses. They did lose a map in the last series, as they won that series 2-1. What do you think that Unlucky 13, even though they have been doing so well so far, what do you think they can do to sort of make their ability even stronger to continue winning as they move forward?
What they can honestly start doing is putting Stee on more heroes and giving them different looks each time. When you kind of start playing the same heroes, you are going to be getting a little more stale and predictable. But Stee's kind of the guy who can make a lot of throw a lot of a wrench into all of that, right? By being able to play like a Pharah if potentially he needs to. But right now, I mean, they're not playing anything super crazy. They're playing the same composition, the same style. Urkcypher is being able to play aggressive because he knows he has support for the rest of his team, right? That's not up to them to really change anything. It's up for the enemy to kind of start countering it. If they start realizing they're going to be expecting Urkcypher getting on the flank, Urkcypher can just play standard, right? Play with the rest of his team. If you have a team that's playing super defensive because they're always worrying about someone getting into the backline, they're not going to be playing aggressive. They're not going to be advancing the card, right? But specifically here on Kothmas, if they start getting control of the point very early on, that means they don't really have to worry about it, right? Having control of the point gives you that defender's advantage because your percentage will continue to tick up.
I think this is one of those maps that actually, if you can sort of spread out and not give Urkcypher nearly as much room to work in, right? Reaper is such a close range hero that if you can punish punish him trying to get in and out, something that we haven't seen so far, I think that's going to give I Need Healing a little bit of a better opportunity here on Nepal as we get ready on Village, specifically that specific point. We are seeing very, very similar compositions. In fact, identical aside from the off-tank position. Zarya on the side of Unlucky 13 and D.Va, and I should say that instead of Zen, it is, of course, Lucio on the side of I Need Healing. So the spawn doors open, players exit, and we are getting ready to go here on Nepal. Choosing to enter through the main gate is I Need Healing, while Unlucky 13 elected to take the high ground. And they're just going to rotate directly to point R, I Need Healing. And they're going to take early point control and force Unlucky 13 to come to them, but Urkcypher's going to get the initial kill. So Unlucky 13, I should say, on the point. As it's going to be I Need Healing up in the air. As Tashtop's going to be taken out of mech, and that's down 2 players effectively now. So the point is going to go initially in the favor of Unlucky 13, and they're going to just take control and brawl away as Klondike swings away. And that is a team wipe pretty much now for Unlucky 13.
Yeah, they actually inadvertently counterplayed the entire Lucio boost that the side of I Need Healing needed. I Need Healing was basically saying, like, okay, well, we're pretty sure they're not going to play Lucio in their compositions because Eagles and Stars have played the exact same supports. We're going to use our Lucio speed to get onto the point, but, we're going to get it so we can beat it to the high ground contest. They did not go high ground, meaning that they actually then had to rotate onto that middle point. By that time, Unlucky 13 already had full control of that.
Bastion just goes directly in point, forced to raid that almost immediately as both Reinhardt shoulder charge into each other. However, Klondike has the support of his team and 6 does not, so 6 will go down, 6 Echo I should say, does go down. And Koya is just going to walk forward as the Tactical Advisor will come out now. And this is going to be a Tactical Advisor that's not going to get much value. Steve does force him away from the point, but the team had already been pretty much ended. So it's just Bastion and Ogdenesh as 6 Echo walks back in now. And this looks like it's going to be forcing Unlucky 13 to continue holding this map as I Need Healing retreats for the moment to reassess.
I'm actually totally fine with that ultimate. You're going to build that up pretty quickly, especially on Soldier if you're just raining shots into people anyway, and he knows he has faith in his team being extremely aggressive, so he'll be able to do that. And, oh man, Kokia, keeping his team just stay alive, forces out the res early on to fight. Cement can't even get a full ultimate off as he's getting countered by that Transcendence, and Graviton keeps everyone in there. Bastion can't even move towards support to really do as much damage. So while Kokia will go down, that Death Blossom doesn't get the full value, meaning the side of Unlucky 3 is able to stall this game out just that little bit more, and the counter Death Blossom puts them into a perfect position, taking down both supports and coming out of it and killing the Reinhardt. And more importantly, that charge will keep some men from touching on the point, extending overtime, and that's 100-0 push there from the side of Unlucky 13. Great for showing on Koth.
Score.
A great first showing on Koth indeed. We are gonna see I mean that was a very commanding performance there from Unlucky 13. They went in, they controlled the point, and they just straight up did not give it back. And I Need Healing sort of losing some of the coordination that perhaps they had earlier on. They sort of filtered in one by one. They never took a fight properly beyond I think one fight after they reset the first time, and sort of staggered their way to a 100-0 loss. I hope to see a little bit more of a a better showing from their team play as we get ready for Sanctum, the second point on this King of the Hill map. As they choose they're going to choose the same composition, no changes at all. And here the teams come, choosing up. Both sides going to meet on pillars on this right side of the map from the blue team's perspective. 6 Echo walks forward, the two Reinhardts exchanging fire strikes. Klondike with the first shield to break, so a bit of that shield war going on, but Cypher is going to get the kills initially as he comes in, and that's going to be Bastion going down, and the shoulder charge, while missing, is going to section off the team. 6 Echo caught out all by himself with no support whatsoever. This means that he is going to go down, and I Need Healing in disarray here as Cash Top's trying to contest in pilot form, and Hanasong not able to do that much with her Bunny Blaster as Unlucky 13 will cap first.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big things right now, is the fact that they actually pressured Zarya when they had the shield up in advance, right? That's kind of thing you don't want to do. When Zarya walks into you, you don't want to hit the shield, as that will give her a charge. And now Cement will be popping an ultimate, trying to get into the backline, but will not be taking as much. However, will force Condice into a bad situation, allowing 6 Echo to get a great ultimate off.
So Cement with an ultimate that, while didn't get much value in terms of its slaying potential, did zone out the remainder of Unlucky 13 into unfavorable positions, and that allowed them to take out Klondike and Cypher afterwards for a rather clean and bloodless 3-point take. As the teams reset here, Cypher looks to see what he can get, but finds a Matrix in his face, so doesn't get any healing, and Klondike's going to charge back into his team's T. Will take down 6 Echo, but Bastion returns the favor, and the team's just trading out kills, which is definitely in favor at the moment for the defense. Here comes that Death Blossom in the back line with the Transcendence. Up immediately means that there is no sort of kills coming through, so Cypher just turns around and shoots Bastion to get the kill, and the Sound Barrier not fast enough to bring, not fast enough to keep the mech alive, but the point's still contesting. They are now up to that 47%, likely the 50% mark, as the Earthshatter is going to capture 6 Echo. So 6 Echo kept alive by the Transcendence, and this is looking unfortunate for the defenders here, as the Earthshatter comes through, captures whoever's inside that small room, but not many kills, though it does force the res out from Stardust as the point ticks over, but 63% in captured for I Need Healing.
It's actually always impresses me how the side of Unlucky 13 is able to take these fights so advantageously, no matter where the positioning is. And right now, Cypher going into the background. How many times have we seen this guy do this, where he just walks into the enemy team, Death Blossoms, and there's no punishment for it? There's only so much Eva can do, especially as the rest of the team is raining down with him there. And that's actually one of the most important parts about why this composition is working so much, especially with Cypher playing so aggressive. His rest of the team is giving him as much support as he needs. They're giving him Zarya ult, they're giving him backup shields and backup healing. This allows him to be aggressive and utilize really quick to the fullest damage possible.
And with that, Kikoya is allowed to be at high energy pretty much all the time, and we see that there. She takes down a kill on 6 Echo, and that's going to be a rather unfortunate case as Cement will use Attack Advisor directly into a Transcendence, and that means no kills. Will come the Transcendence, trying to work its hardest, but expires, and that's going to be the Death Blossom kills ×2 for Bastion, as Self-Destruct will zone them off the point, so this is looking, at least initially, pretty good for I Need Healing. They will push off Unlucky 13 from the point and turn it over before that crucial 90% mark. And so Unlucky 13, you know, being challenged definitely here on King of the Hill. We are now up to that 70% mark for I Need Healing, as Cement will secure the kill on Klondike. So Kikoya back with that Graviton Surge, still has that opportunity for that huge ultimate to combo with the team. As Cypher looking for engagement, doesn't quite see what he wants. Twiggy will take down Steed as Cypher chasing away Cement as they pull them all over to the pillar side. Fast now 70% to his ultimate in the backline, just takes down Eagles as a big Earthshatter comes out from Klondike into the Graviton Surge, into the Death Blossom, and that is 4 kills for me. That is 4 kills for the side of Unlucky 13. They will turn the point over. They are forced to use the Tactical Advisor as Steed needed to take out Cement, so they are 91%. 92%. Squiggy may burn this Transcendence here to get 2 points to contest. Indeed he does. They are now at the 99 to 99 mark, so we are even. This is the last fight of this point. Octonash coming in with a sound there, doesn't get quite there in time as Tashtop's forced out of mech. Bondice charges in, picks off the pilot mech as Cement will take down his soldier counterpart as 6 Echo with the Earth Shatter that is blocked. And this is a very dangerous place now as Ogdenash trying his best to boot him off, but Kikoya on that 88 energy says no and just slays the remaining 2. So point 2, a much closer affair, but still going in Unlucky 13's favor.
Yeah, that's actually, honestly, it just surprises me so often that Unlucky 13 is able to get into these positions where they're just ultimate, right? They're able to get in these great positions where they are allowed to use their abilities to their benefit, right? They're able to play this aggressive. And this is kind of why this team has been doing so well, is that they work together as a team. They understand what their weak conditions are. Urk is almost never without orb, especially from Piggles, and more importantly, Kikoya being able to charge up. Like we've been mentioning all the time before, when your Zarya is able to do damage, that makes it almost as if there's a third DPS dealer, right? It makes your Diva feel especially uncomfortable, right? Where she has to either, debate playing aggressive or getting melted instantaneously, right? The fact you're able to build up Gavin that surge that quickly because you're doing as much damage as you are, that's so key right now.
Bondice now charging the point, marks the start of this fight. Bassin trying to get in to see if he has that ability, but forced to Wraith out without much in the terms of killing potential. As Kikoya looking for that charge, Bondice does get it off, and with the Zarya bubble is going to get Kikoya up to that vaunted 100 energy. And so this is going to be a very unpleasant place to be in the general reach of Kikoya, as Steve will take that right click, that Helix rocket off. And this is going to be an unfortunate place for Tashtops to be. Tashtops taken out of mech, and the point will go in Unlucky 13's favor. And Kikoya already up to 50% ultimate, so this is going to be an explosive second fight as we see Unlucky 13 across the board inching to their ultimates as they are here on this third map of Shrine.
I actually want to start seeing some people make a little more changes. The reason why you're seeing these Reinhardt v Reinhardt battles going so much in favor of Unlucky 13 is because he has that Zarya shield in case he gets charged, right? Having that first charge allows you to kind of be able to play super aggressive, right? If your Reinhardt does not have a shield to back him up, he's going to get very low, and if your healers are not dedicated on them, that creates a huge problem. As you can see, every time Klondike does charge, and he gets a shield almost instantaneously, and that's really strong for communication. Right now, Death Blossom will even up this fight, but Stardust does get the res, bringing Steve and Kikoya back into the fight. Bastion, unfortunately, is able to separate the Reinhardt, but Kikoya putting in some more damage into all this, and they're not even killing him. He gets the orb, he gets knocked back up, allowing him to save, and now they just need to stall onto the point. It doesn't matter if they win this fight, they just need to continue to filter back onto this point, stall back on the point if possible. Cement is going to pop tap the Obashi, and Aiken pops that Transcendence to keep them in that fight again, and that's got to be frustrating. Cement not even looking behind him, and Bastion will try to ultimate, but gets taken out in the meantime in the process, and this is where Klondike is being able to just wave his hammer around. Great ground research, keeps all of them back together, and makes it importantly really easy targets for them to swing around and get that ultimate charge back up again. Klondike had ulted right into shield the fight before, but now he's back at 80%.
One other thing that this means is with that brawl taking so long, that's actually the really terrible news for I Need Healing, is they're now up to 87%, and on top of that, they don't have that many ultimates to work with here. They use the lock trying to make that retake, and with the turn, they are now forced to win this fight without really any abilities, but a great counter Earth Shatter means that the barrier's not up in time. We are now in overtime. The Self-Destruct not going to be able to catch much of anyone, but they do zone them off the point. The point now slowly turning over as Earth Cypher still left alone as Kikoya turning that barrier on as Cement will get the kills, and on the point continues a brawl. Earth Cypher finally does go down. Kikoya just stalling it out a little bit longer, but will die in turn. So a 99% turn, but this means that I Need Healing with their backs at the proverbial cliff. They have one fight before they lose the entirety of the map.
Yeah, so this is actually a fun tip for a lot of players. This is something a lot of pros actually don't even know themselves. But when you're stalling out the point, it's actually most optimal to stall before 99%. The big reason why is because if you continue to stall at 99% and you continue to filter on, it's going to trigger overtime spawns from your team. So even though you might be able to, under normal conditions, get back to the point on time, if you're out to 99%, it's not going to be a good deal. That's why a lot of teams oftentimes should be able to die at 96%.
There comes the defensive sound barrier to keep the team alive as they continue fights, but Eagles will get the first pick off, and 6 Echo forced to swing away with Koya Bastion. Now on the far, a decent choice here, but Urkcypher looking for his prey as Squiggy looking all alone. The res forced out. Stardust picks off 1 as Squiggy on point. The Death Blossom comes in, the boot not in time. The Tackle Visor cleans up, and this is all but death for the side of I Need Healing, as Bastion the only one left to contest. The squishy Pharah with the Discord or touches point, gets 1 kill off on Stardust, but it is not enough. Overtime ticks down. That is now map 2 to Unlucky 13 as they take a perfect 3-0 over I Need Healing.
Yeah, that's honestly so key right there. And that's something I do have to bring up, right? One of the things that we've seen from Unlucky 13 that really makes them great is because the level of team play that they have together, right? One thing I noted was that, hey, one of the reasons why Star is so good in Reinhardt v Reinhardt is because if you charge in, you're going to get that shield, which is going to give you that extra health, right? It's going to make it so that you're not going to die instantly. And that's exactly what they were doing. In fact, it was kind of funny because Kokoya was putting the shield on Reinhardt before he charged in those cases, right? It was almost like, even if he didn't get the charge up, he just wanted to be ready for it preemptively, and that's huge.
This means that Unlucky 13 taking a commanding 2-0 lead in this series over I Need Healing as they take the initial map, which was Route 66, and then they take the follow-up map, which is Nepal. So they take a 2-0 lead in this best-of-5 series. So this is definitely a very dangerous place for I Need Healing to be in. On the other hand, I Need Healing could definitely turn it around. Map point 1 and point 3 were not very equal in terms of how the teams fought, but I thought point 2 was something that I Need Healing can take home and say, okay, yes, we didn't win the map. Yes, we didn't win either of the first 2 maps. And we didn't even, show very strong performances on 2 of the points. But they definitely showed Unlucky 13 that they're not out of this fight in terms of how they performed on that point 2. They took it to a 9-9-99 and lost on 1 fight based off some excellent support play on the side of Unlucky 13. I Need Healing, though, definitely still needs an answer to Reaper. And the other problem that it has is, it's easy to say, oh, just put a D.Va in his face, just put a defensive matrix in his face. Unlucky 13, though, has the option of having Stee in that far range that just can poke damage down. So even if Urkcypher is focused by that defensive matrix, there's no loss of damage coming for Unlucky 13.
Yeah, I think that oddly the adjustment they need to make is switch out D.Va for Zarya. I think that's going to be the best part if they know how to play. It's mainly because, yes, D.Va is very strong right now, but what's causing the most issues actually is just the fact that the enemy Reaper's being able to play so aggressive, right? When Urkcypher is able to play that aggressive and you're nothing to really help out your frontline tanks, it's almost like to a detriment, right? And we talked about this exact thing before. It's not that D.Va isn't able to neutralize Reaper as well. It's the fact that she's being pulled in so many different directions, and it's not exactly safe when she has to play against a Zarya that's always fully charged, right? This is one of the situations. If you're a D.Va player and your team is playing extremely, is allowing Zarya to charge up and actually feeding her charge, you need to start telling them, hey, I can't stay alive. Can we please stop shooting at Zarya? And this is something that even the top teams have to communicate. This is something top teams always forget because it's almost instinct to do more damage into it, right? Sometimes it's better actually to reduce your damage or to turn it off completely and wait for cooldowns.
And it's sort of interesting. This is something that we see not just with Zarya, but Sombra, who we haven't seen a lot here today. But that's the same thing. Like if you deal damage, you're sort of punching yourself in the or shooting yourself in the foot, as it were. In this case, I definitely think we are going, of course, to Temple of Anubis, a very short range map, somewhere where Reaper is actually very strong on, as we've seen recently with the changes to his kit, of course, with that life steal. And Unlucky 13 will be defending, of course. I Need Healing will be attacking. But this, of course, was the pick for I Need Healing as they go to a map that. Do you think they should be, aside from the Zarya, aside from taking that Zarya v Zarya fight, is there something else that you can think that I Need Healing can do to sort of turn this in their favor?
Yeah, they can run alternative options on DPS. They can run Tracer. They can run Winston. They can run a dive composition instead of the more defensive composition that they are. Dive isn't super optimal into Reaper, but when you're taking advantage of the fights, you're basically allowing them to basically you're basically setting the initiative, right? You're being able to tell them, hey, I want to take this fight at this exact moment. I want to use these abilities and putting them on the back foot, forcing them to play more reactively.
Into the map we go, Temple of Anubis, assault map, something we don't get to see very frequently, or I should say, something we've only started to see more of as of late. So over the lifespan of Overwatch, it's been a contested map style, but we do get to see Temple of Anubis in our map pool, in our map picks today, and I am eager to see what these two teams will present for us. So Unlucky 13 yet again choosing to defend first, as I Need Healing will take the attack round initially. One thing I just want to throw out there, I'm ever grateful for both these teams. They haven't really been trying to ruse us casters with the early map picks or the early hero picks. Although I doubt Bastion will be playing the Junkrat this early on anyway.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually rolled in on a Junkrat. Junkrat's kind of the interesting character where you kind of know where to pre-fire, or if you decide to just throw damage, you can kind of neutralize the shield, right? And that's kind of the big issue they've had before, is really getting a 6 Echo in a good place where he can be Klondice in shield duels. We also have to consider Kikoya is still on Zarya, so you have to be maybe not as liberal with your bomb, because we talked about before, the big problem with players in Zarya is doing too much damage to her. Junkrat's the exact same. It's actually almost the worst problem, right? Because you can't exactly control where your bomb's gonna end up.
Definitely a double-edged sword as we get ready for the attackers to move in, and a relatively standard setup for this kind of play on Temple of Anubis from the defense. So Bastion will be rolling in with that Junkrat, so that is definitely a new play, but Kikoya not getting much value of that early initial bubble, only up to 30 energy, but this is going to be an early brawl going in on the Mega Health Pack room here on the right-hand side from the defender's perspective. And Junkrat just raining down damage. This is a unfortunate place for a defender to be in a tight room with a bunch of lob projectiles. Steve, though, with the first kill, as his Helix Rocket will find blood. And Kikoya, now up to that vaulted energy, is going to just draw Tash Tops out of mech, and that's going to be a early Junkrat bomb is going to take Stee out. There is no bubble in time from Kikoya, and that's going to be 6 Echo just charging in to take out Urk Cypher. So Kikoya, even though does get the revenge kill, this is looking a little bit better for the attackers here on point A, as inside a tiny room, Eagles sees a Junkrat bomb and can't avoid it. 3 on point as the respawns come in, as Klondice will go down, as Stee, deciding whether to go in to defend or not, chooses not to, and a great early rotation from the attackers to take point A.
Yeah, that was kind of the situation where you don't want, right? When you charge a target, you can't get a shield on there. And that's kind of exactly where they were able to abuse that slight dip in cooldown timing. But Koya, I think he's more than happy with the way that they held that first point. Obviously not optimal, you want a full hold, but if you can, well, what else are you going to do? And yeah, Urk Cypher being thrust out, and this is actually a kind of a soft counter of Bastion's on Junkrat, being able to use that bomb to really propel Urk Cypher away from the rest of the team. It's some sort of indirect healing. Maybe it's not optimal, but at the same time, it does create a little more stress.
And it's definitely something for Urk Cypher. He's forced to wraith out more. He can't really contend nearly as aggressively as he has before. I mean, as you said, it may not be optimal, but it's definitely working, at least for now. Here comes Cement with that tackle visor, will pick Stee out of the sky, doesn't see much else, does find Biggles as he rotates directly onto point, and they are going to get some point presence here, as Cement comes in onto Koya as well. Stardust not able to be taken out by before the res comes through, but she only gets 2 with the Death Blossom, not capturing a whole lot. Bastion comes in on Koya, and even though he does go down, and that is not much of a fight win for the attackers, as I Need Healing resets. Definitely the signs of the defense starting to show a little bit of signs of bending, if not about to break.
Yeah, good hold from them overall. They kind of got caught a little bit out of position very early on, but in the meantime, they have managed to stabilize, and now they're regenerating the ultimates, right? Koya has a guy with on surge. You can pin them off in like these choke point areas, and Rek'Saifer needs to change his place instead of camping out, because he's been camping out there the last 3 times. I think the rest of them is starting to get caught on, and Rek'Saifer runs in again and gets that shield right before he goes in, and that's just the level of communication that's needed. But unfortunately, they burst right through that shield. So that's actually another counter to Zarya as well. If you charge her up, that's fine. Just make sure you destroy her shield before she's able to get any more healing. And Bastion is actually doing a very good job of that right now, denying her any additional of the actual shield. So while she's gaining charge, she's not able to protect her shield.
A big Diva Bomb from Tashtops takes out 2, even though this is possibly a lost fight here, as it's only 2 left alive and Tashtops forced out of mech. And Eagles will take out the mechless Diva, as Eagles will also take down Squiggy. He's counter Zen, as that's a reset now for I Need Healing. And I mean, that was a really messy fight, I think, from the attackers, as they took the initial kill, but they never really followed up in terms of protecting themselves from stuff like Earth Shatter.
Yeah, honestly, it's just tough, right? Because they did expend a lot of ultimates on the side of the defense, but defense still has a pretty good rotation going on. So 6 Echo will have to be pressured into using his Earth Shatter effectively, but he needs more room for the rest of his team. And I think the rest of the side of Unlucky 13 knows that he has ultimate, so I think they're playing around it a little bit more. But at the same time, he needs more room to do it. And Steve taking out OG Dinesh is not a great way to start right there, as Rek'Saifer trying his best to harass and get him some more damage. He almost has Reaper ultimate.
Here comes that tackleizer from Cement, but I think this might just be a case of an ultimate getting killed to not value, as Rek'Saifer yet again in the backline. The Earthshatter does come through, and Bastion with a tire, as Rek'Saifer burns through that defensive matrix. So Tashtops doing what he can, but not quite enough. The res is forced out, and Kokoya will get a kill after that res is completed. This is slowly going as Steve tries to get the self-destruct, or sorry, the barrage off, kills himself on Tashtop's mech, but Transcendence will keep them up, and there's just not enough pressure from the attackers to continue this fight. And so this is going to be another one from I Need Healing that is going to end in failure. They are going to continue with that fight as they see blood, but not anything coming through, as Klondike will jump through with that Earthshatter, pick off 1 kill as Odiness goes down. And Stardust, being harassed by Bastion, does take him out. Kokoya puts the Graviton off the wall. There comes the ultimate from Bastion to try and take Eagles away. Eagles forced to retreat, doesn't get there in time. They are doing what they can. Cement will bring the Tactical Advisor out, does get Steve before he can get back to point. They are getting 1 tick. Will they be able to get that second? The boot, a great boot from Tashtops to prevent Klondike from charging in. They are now up to 3/4 of the way and almost over, as Stardust does only a solo res. Steve, the only one left up, contesting for now. Kokoya, of course, on point, I should say as well. They do force Tashtops out of mech, does Rek'Saifer. Another Earthshadow from 6 Echo, and will they be able to complete the map? They do, with a time of 1:55 left on the clock. They take both points, and an excellent return to form there from I Need Healing, turning around some ineffective pushes into a much more commanding presence on point as they take that point B, and turn to the defense now.
Yeah, Bastion there actually was the player too who basically won them that game. So maybe it wasn't on screen, because I'm not exactly sure what was being shown on screen by production. But Bastion actually managed to take out Klondike, as Klondike was kind of chasing him into almost into Unlucky 13 spawn. Unfortunately, was not able to kill them, and that basically turned the course of the fight. Because even though Diva was out of mech, Tashtops was out of mech, you can't really do much if you're just taking some brunt damage from Bastion. And Bastion, in addition, showing the mobility of Junkrat, actually chasing around a lot of targets. He's going to be very difficult for Kokoya to deal with, especially since Kokoya doesn't have an easy option, just defense matrix and turning around. Kokoya will have to wait for his shield to come up to be able to contest Junkrat. So if Bastion does continue to get free ground and free reign over everything, he's going to be the big factor to change this game.
They are continuing to roll with what was working, as they're going to bring Bastion back out on defense, as the Junkrat makes a confident, triumphant return. And Bastion really showing what this hero can do, as Kokoya not able to do, while was high energy, wasn't really able to do much in terms of that sheer pressure from the amount of damage that Bastion was able to lay down. And
Powered up.
I mean, definitely one of the weaker rounds that we've seen from Koya so far. As we see, though, I should say, Unlucky 13, they are going with what worked. They are continuing. They're still on the Pharah, but otherwise unchanged as they are confident in what they have to bring to the table. They get ready to attack here on Temple of Anubis, and away they go.
Defend objective A.
Enemy C.
Steve now in the air, supported by Mercy, and Bastion with that concussive mine just takes out Eagles, who is unsuspectingly hit by it. And that's going to be an unfortunate case. This is going to be down one support early on in this fight. Again, that shield from Klondike's just taking a hammering at this point from Bastion's grenades. As the fight continues inside that tiny room, and triggered is Koya with that trap. So that's going to be unfortunate. Bastion left alone. This is a place that Junkrat shines, but the kills are coming in for the attackers here. Eagles and C combining. Bastion takes out the Koya, and there's going to be no shields for no shield pressure. Bastion with a huge double kill into the Klondike and Urk Cypher. So the Junkrat continuing to do work, but the Pharah, someone he can't really contest, and and Steve just takes the kill from him.
Yeah, that was actually a really good job right there from Steve, recognizing what his win condition was. He just needed to make sure he was giving them a different look than everyone else. And Bastion right now being able to stay alive. He's on high guard and we don't have a great way to deal with it. I don't think Steve's actually even looking up there right now, so Bastion able to get a lot of free damage down. And yeah, that's not exactly what you want to see. Junkrat getting some free reign up there, and Koya finally realizes trying to land some right clicks out there, trying to land some projectiles on that edge portion down. Unfortunately, not able to. This Junkrat pick really showing exactly what I Need Healing has been able to do and why they're causing so much trouble. It's not so much that any of the players on Lucky 13 are playing badly. It's just that they need to deal with this new addition, this new DPS player, which is this new DPS hero, which is creating a lot of trouble by giving them a lot more damage than they're expecting.
If Bastion said, if I can't hit the fire from the ground, well, I guess I just have to take the air. And Eagles finding out the hard way how much damage that Junkrat can do as he continues to rain his terror in these tiny corridors and rooms. And Urk Cypher unable to really find any sort of ground, and they are already down. There's a second Riptire from Bastion, unable to quite get up. They are just stuck in a tiny room. The Fire Strike will miss, and Klondike. Now, it's just 3 left in this upper room, and a very unfortunate place for them to be squeaky. Almost caught out, but Cement with that tactical visor. Bastion does finally go down. It won't matter much as this push continues to be contained. Urk Cypher starting the point capture, and Tash Tops will rotate back slowly to him. As the fight continues now, the Spawn's coming back in for the attackers. The Earth Shadow, though, captures Klondike. Klondike's charged away and swung at in by himself. Transcendence coming out a little too late to do much of anything. Here comes the Sound Barrier for the defense, and the defensive matrix will negate most of Urk Cypher's Death Blossom, as they are now forcing every single ultimate out from the attackers. They will finally give up this point, but that was a very, very expensive fight for Unlucky 13.
Yeah, really good job forcing out all those ultimates out there, and that's kind of the main issue you normally worry about when you lose first one, is how much momentum will the attackers carry into the second one. Looking for them, they have no momentum they can carry. They only have Stardust as an ultimate. Everyone else, because they just used it, is still sitting around 30%, right? And Tasha Chops, at the perfect time, has the ability to disengage the fight with a D.Va self-destruct if they need to. The res is also online from their side. So this is going to be a good idea right now for them to play slightly more aggressive, try to get more picks, and that's exactly what Urk Cypher spotted.
Urk Cypher trying to force the issue, just jumps to the backline. Cement says no way, and that momentum completely, whatever tiny amount there may possibly have been, completely nullified. And that is going to be another push, a dry push. They do build some of their ultimates, but they don't force out anything from the defense. So a slow reset from both teams. Bastion still on that Junkrat.
I'm ready to initiate self-destruct sequence.
The Spawn's coming back in slowly.
Yeah, for drive pushes, typically you want to engage hard and aggressive. Right? You don't actually want to do it slow and send one person at a time. You want to commit to it as if you had all your ultimates. The reason why is because the enemy team will kind of realize that they're not really in any danger of dying and they won't burn ultimates. You want to attack aggressively such that in all the confusion they have to decide, okay, we need to ult now, and they kind of panic.
Bastion gets an early initial pickoff yet again. Urkcypher getting the worst of that engagement. And Bastion continues. There's that tactical visor from Cement. He's going to force them back further. And they're just going to hammer away at Klondice's shield. And Cement just jumps over it to find Eagles. As inside that chaotic room, they are going to burn the res. They are contesting on point as Steve does get back in time. But Cement shooting at Steve. And Steve not really able to do much by himself. There is no support there. As the fight continues inside that tiny corridor, there comes an Earthshatter from, looks like Klondice, but there is no other value as Klondice just being chased away by Bastion's Junkrat Tire, finds it the hard way. And that is going to be a Transcendence from Eagles. That's a questionable ultimate in my eyes. As the fight continues again, but OG Dinesh will get the final blow as Steve rolls back in. And they're really not gaining any ground, but they're also not losing anything. And this favors the defense a lot more than it does the offense in this regard. Urkcypher does get Cement, but with the spawn so close, it doesn't mean much at all.
Urkcypher right there is kind of forgetting what allowed him to be that aggressive. That's kind of one of the things that you really want to pay attention to as a player. You don't want to forget what's causing your success because he's kind of going in solo and trying to get all these kills and trying to do as much damage as he can because he's seen himself, being able to go into the backline and win these fights. The big difference right now is that sometimes he's going in without his Zarya backup, and that's what's been allowing him to play that aggressive. He needs to win. He needs to play together. There's no point going in solo if you have to forcing yourself to start yourself out.
Cement captured by Urkcypher as he jumps in. He does get the one kill. That could be the opening that Unlucky 13 is looking for. They do hear the call out as Kikoya says the Graviton Surge is available. There comes the self-destruct on point. The shoulder charge means that Klondice cannot get the shield up in time. They are forced to burn the Resurrect as Cement will come in on Eagles. Urkcypher picks off one with the Death Blossom. Not much else. Wiki will get the res as the Graviton Surge comes in after the barrage. And with that sound barrier, it means that there is not much more value. The big Earthshatter from Klondice, but there's no follow-up. Urkcypher the only one left alive at this point. And now we are down to the remaining 60 seconds. And Urkcypher left all alone is going to fall.
Yeah, that's honestly pretty tough on their side, right? They got a huge ultimate off, unfortunately that res does reset the fight, and that Graviton Surge being able to keep everyone in, no follow-up at that point, so that's kind of unfortunate. Seeing the ult a little bit early, but, I don't even think it's ulting early. I think they just were not expecting that res to come through, and by the time the res did come through, they wanted to capitalize on the fact that everyone was supposed to.
The only ultimate on the board right now is the Transcendence from Eagles, so not really much in the terms of high impact abilities to be used. So we will have to see some good old-fashioned sheer left-click damage as there comes through Kikoya on point now on the D.Va instead of the Zarya, choosing to change things up here. Seeing that there is they do force him off the Zarya, so that is a good win for I Need Healing. Bastion will clean up Klondice at the cost of 6 Echo. We are now in overtime. Here comes the Tactical Advisor. Bastion continues, forces Kikoya out of mechs, who does not matter which hero he's on. There goes the Rip Tire on point, is going to capture Steve Urkcypher in raid form. They are now in overtime. The res will come through from both sides to recontest, but a big Earthshatter from 6 Echo cleans up the side. Urkcypher on the back line doing what he can. Klondice captures as the huge Death Blossom comes in. A great turn from Urkcypher. He is not letting them go gently into the good night. Kashatop's doing what he can to stall out as they are now not even on that first tick. The spawns, though, in advantage for I Need Healing. Urkcypher will go down. Overtime will tick out. Match complete. I Need Healing brings the match back.
Final score 1-2.
Yeah, that's actually a really good adjustment from I Need Healing right there. I think that the Junkrat, while it was a character that we didn't think that it would have as much impact as possible. I mean, it definitely created another look that they had to address, right? In this case, Zarya is good. It's a good counter to Junkrat, but I don't think that they were playing as as engaging as they could have been. They were letting Bastion get into kind of places where he could just rain damage from way behind. They weren't really contesting it. They weren't paying attention and focusing down. I think that was the one mistake they did have. I think if they had more ability to keep them in the fight and being able to push them and making sure that he was going down first in the fight, it could have turned the course of the game. But at the same time, though, great job from I Need Healing. They definitely were able to take it to Unlucky, especially on this assault map.
This means that for the first time on, or for the second time on stream, I should say, we get to see Unlucky 13 picking the map. So they are going to, there is of course going to be a ban from I Need Healing first from the map pool, which, in case you are wondering what is left, is Hanamura, Dorado, Hollywood, Kings Row, or Lijiang Tower. As we are now in our best of 5 scenario at 2-1 in favor of Unlucky 13. I Need Healing, maybe forcing a reverse sweep here as they go into this next map. I want to say one thing that, I mean, for the first time we see Kukoi forced off that Zarya onto a diva of all things, and beyond, I don't want to say it was like precise. I mean, this last push, so you need to get back to point very quickly. So that may have been one of the reasons. But I think if you're I Need Healing, you need to take this win, not just the win of the map, but forcing Unlucky 13 to change up their composition in a way that we haven't seen yet. I think you take the victory from that as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good victory so far. I think that both sides are playing pretty well. I'm wondering if I Need Healing will carry this momentum into the next map, right? Because we did see, I think that once you break a composition and you're able to take a map off it, it doesn't seem that scary anymore. You're able to kind of branch out more into what you need to do. However, I am slightly worried. I think that Bastion's Junkrat is really strong on Assault. I'm not sure if he'll have the same impact on Koth or Escort, where you're playing against either a super static target on retake, or if you actually need to engage and move along with the card. So maybe Bastion won't be able to run that Junkrat that he's been running, which once again feeds back into the original thing of Kikoya is just playing so well against every other hero. You're going to need to bring something else in. And a DPS change will do it, but I think in general, you're still going to need to depend on your team to play around that Zarya and make sure you're able to abuse some of her cooldowns. Right? Zarya is a pretty strong hero when she gets a lot charged, but one of the big things is, she has the shield capability, and that's the big cooldown you need to watch out and take into account.
So we have our first ban. Dorado is out of the pool, and we wait on Unlucky 13 for their map pick as we get into our fourth offering here. This is now, of course, a 2-1 series in Unlucky 13's favor. Very exciting set we've got so far. A very close set, I think. And I think I Need Healing sort of recognized that and recognized they needed a change in composition. They threw something that perhaps Unlucky 13 wasn't quite familiar with. And not only did they throw it, it's clear that I think at least I Need Healing has been playing around Bastion's Junkrat fairly reliably. I don't think this is something they just picked at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, honestly, I think they might have been practicing this. This is stuff where I think that a lot of teams, once they come together, they come up with all these pocket strats on certain maps, and I think that's actually really strong. And I think that teams should be doing that more. No matter how good you are, you should be still looking at maps and thinking about what composition do I want to run here, right? What has been working for us? Practice out in a few scrims, or just I practice it in comp queue as a 6-tier if we need to. So I definitely like the fact that teams are taking into account of what they need to run, of what's going to work, and maybe some pocket strats that they need.
We are switching over to Kings Row, something that I think Unlucky 13, who did pick the map, are happy to get back to. This is something that fits right into Unlucky 13's team composition wheelhouse. This is a map that is super, it's incredibly strong for heroes like Zarya, heroes like Reinhardt, stuff we've seen that Unlucky 13 not just plays, but plays very well. So this is going to be I Need Healing on defense, so they will be in blue. Unlucky 13 are in red. We are ready to go into Kings Row of the Scrub Cup NA Grand Finals in our fourth map in our best of 5 series. So away we go, and I cannot wait to see what these two teams offer us on this map. as there seems to be a small pause before we sort of load in. Perhaps some sort of technical issue here. And here we go. We do load in as we get ready to go.
Entering King's Row.
We've already seen Unlucky 13 on this map as they chose this map in the semifinals earlier on today, on stream in fact. So we have seen how Unlucky 13 performs in this map. Do you expect a return to form, or will they bow to Bastion's Junkrat prowess again?
I think they just need to get used to it. When you play against different compositions or new compositions, you just, it takes a little bit of a time to kind of learn and get used to it. This happens like at the top level all the time when someone else is running a pocket pick. It's really hard to think about how you want to deal with it. Luckily, there is a short break between the previous map and this map, and more importantly, when you do play a different map type, Assault is more... it's more like this first point hybrid in a way, but when you have like an escort for the rest of the map, Junkrat becomes less and less useful because Junkrat is no longer able to kind of just sit at certain points and just rain damage down. But this first map and this first point here is probably going to be more reminiscent of what they ran on Assault before. But at the same time, we should, I don't think that they're going to have as much trouble dealing with it here, mainly because there's so much more high ground that they can kind of get to and take advantage of. But I will caution them, they need to seriously be careful about tunneling into some small corridors, and that's going to allow Bastion's Junkrat to really get more value out of his bombs.
Eagles threatening the Sombra early on, but switches back to the tried and true Zenyatta as they get ready here. This is going to be Unlucky 13 attacking initially on King's Row, and here we go. We do see Stee on the Pharah. Somewhat of a soft counter Junkrat. She does rain down damage where he can't quite reach from. As Urk Cypher trying to get into the hotel, but finds Bastion in his way and says, okay, that's not really an avenue I'm willing to take. And so he's just going to have to force himself into a general brawl, which he doesn't seem to enjoy taking usually. The one thing that happens here is Urk Cypher does get followed by Kikoya, who are now back on that Zarya, and a great brute by Tashtops means that Klondike is going to get no value from that charge. Tashtops, though, now out of mech as Urk Cypher comes in. The brawl happening very much in favor of the attackers. Unlucky 13 not only building percentage on the point, they are building the difference in heroes alive. Cement trying to turn it back ever so slowly as 6 Echo doing what he can, but swinging away, not much there for him. Cement coupled with OG Danash and Squiggy just stalling out for the remainder. They are bringing more stall back in, so not even a full tick yet as OG Danash surviving for the moment. They do get the res out on Cement, bringing him back into the fight. And this means that the Tackle Advisor will be able to come back out and force a Transcendence as Klondike is just swinging away, trying to get him out from there. The Earthshatter comes through, but the Sound Barrier not quite enough to defend them from the Death Blossom on the knockdown targets, and that is most likely it for point A for I Need Healing.
Yeah, that's a super clutch ultimate from Klondike because he ults just as 6 Echo grabs his ultimate, so he negates any chance for them to come back in there. But it sounds good to stall initially from I Need Healing, keeping the chances of ults a little more alive. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pick up enough kills in the process, and that just allowed, basically when you're trying to stall a point, you want to get at least people low, or you want to get some kills. That way, you kind of allow them to get back with their spawns and fire them a little more time. The fact they weren't able to force out enough ultimates meant that when they did burn the res and they did try to come back and use their ultimates, they weren't able to.
Kikoya now feeling a little bit more familiar in the positioning, does get energy off the Junkrat and not, any sort of kill, and not getting any kills on the side of his team. This is going to be the part just moving forward. 6 Echo finally stepping in, just sidesteps that charge from Klondike. And this means that Kikoya in the back line is sort of just doing what he wants. 6 Echo does get the Earthshatter blocked, as Kikoya will go down, and Klondike's charging in again outside his team. Will he be taken out? No, manages to step back out into the healing of Stardust. As Stee continues to rain damage down rather uncontested now, so Urk Cypher on the ground and Stee in the air is providing a lot of pressure here for Unlucky 13, as Bastion will get the kills off. Another kill showing up in the kill feed for the J-Rat. As OG Mash speeds 6 Echo back into the team. trying to recontest for this fight. The cart hasn't moved at all in the last little while. Tash Top's walking forward with that defensive matrix. Ultimates slowly starting to build up on both sides here. We look to see an engagement from OG Nash. They use the sound barrier. They're going to go in likely here as the Riptire takes out one, Bastard takes out another, and the attacker is now going to have to reset. So Unlucky 13, they are not going to get any value. They're just, you know, forcing ultimates out though. As a
yeah, the side of I Need Healing is actually playing really smart. They're actually rotating their tanks around very well to mitigate damage, and that's something that people should know a little more, is how much the D.Va is being able to stay alive and buy some more time for the enemy, for the Reinhardt to really stay alive here. So they are able to delay the cart a little more, and Bastion does get away with his time, but they're playing extremely smart right now. Even though they did lose the first point pretty decisively with a number of ultimates committed, they're playing very defensive and they're playing extremely smart and allowing themselves to stall.
one thing that happened there off of a very odd engage by Unlucky 13 using a Transcendence when nothing much was happening. They do turn that into a fight win with the Earth Shatter. So it looks like Unlucky 13 walking forward, but there are multiple dead now on the side of I Need Healing. That means that there's going to be no recontest as Urkcypher just going to walk forward and nuke down 6 Echo. So Bastion either trying to get back up into the top side but misses, or trying to reset characters. It looks like he was trying to get up but missed and jumped to his death instead. Urkcypher still in that high ground. Cement now on the Widowmaker. Urkcypher jumping again in the backline, flanking, and Bastion up there with him, hits him with a direct grenade and the concussion mine. Doesn't quite kill him as he's wraithed out. Cement though, getting an early pick off on this Widow, so a smart early selection here from Cement, as he can create some of that backline of that pressure, forcing them to play behind the Reinhardt shield. Klondike's getting the great fire strike off on the Riptire. There's going to be an engage from the defense. Kikoya up in the top of the building, an odd place for Azaria to be. Steve does go down, or sorry, Cement rather does go down to Steve. The fight continuing muddily along as the attacker's looking to pick it up. There's that self-destruct. Kikoya's going to be caught out, so that Graviton Surge isn't going to get much of anything in it. But the res will come through as the self-destruct, sorry, the Death Blossom in the backline picks up to the barrage into the Earth Shatter, and that means Cement, while getting back to point, not going to stay alive for much longer, and they're going to capture this third point with a respectable 2 minutes 5 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, considering that second street phase and how long they were able to hold it on the side of I Need Healing, it's actually very great that they got it in 2 minutes. That street phase is the hardest part of the entire map, but at the same time, a lot of teams will give it up for free, right? So that's one of the maps where if you win first point, typically you get a pretty good advantage, and you're able to carry the momentum through the majority of street phase. The fact they were able to stop the momentum and then, once again, use that high ground to their advantage, they were able to, buy some more time for it. So that's very respectable for the side of I Need Healing for delaying for so long, but at the same time, it just goes to show that the side of Unlucky 13, really strong performance, especially on that third phase.
I think this is one thing where Unlucky 13 has sort of not, if they've not figured out the Junkrat in terms of how to play against it, they've definitely moved themselves around to give themselves a better opportunity of doing so. I don't think Bastion was nearly as effective on King's Row, and I mean, part of that's due to the map style, as you mentioned earlier. Payload, it's not exactly easy to set up predetermined lines and fire just at them, but I think also it helps that Unlucky 13 sort of playing around how Bastion himself is playing and basically nullified a lot of the work that he could do. So Cement on the Widow, although I'm not sure if he's going to stick to it or if he's just going to use it for scouting, but he did play it on defense at the end there, so it's entirely a possibility that he could be playing it here on attack.
Greetings.
Unlucky 13 sticking with their current team composition that's been serving them so well.
As usual.
Yeah, there's not much you really need to change. It's kind of the old saying, right? If it ain't broke, you'll fix it. I mean, I think that the Soul Map was them just basically getting used to it, and now that the competition is back and ready, They're ready to take it for another fight. And Bastion, he's going to have a little more trouble with Junkrat on offense because he just can't post up at these corners and really rain down as much damage.
Cement playing Widow for that early entrance. And let's see how they perform. So he's going after Steve, but Steve playing around that corner means that Cement does not get a very good look at him. And with that Discord orb placed on his body, that's going to be very awkward. Playing inside a small room, Cement though does get the early initial pick, so Steve out of the fight, and this means that Bastion's a little bit more room to work. Although Top's taken out of the fight, Klondike does get a shoulder charge off, and 6 Echo does go down. So this is going to be the attackers forced to retreat as they lose this first fight. Cement looks like he's going back to spawn to switch over to a different hero. Not quite liking the looks that he's been getting.
I actually really like that kind of the level of approach there, where they kind of gave Cement more room to really fire upon, knowing that they had enough damage from Bastion in close corners to really get them out of the way, right? Do enough damage, force it so that they can't really engage. But at the same time, you're fighting into a closed area, which no one really wants to do. Taking out Zen early on the fight is going to be detrimental, so you're not going to get as much healing available, and more importantly, you don't have enough Discord, right? Discord is actually super important. People actually don't consider how much damage it actually does. And meanwhile, in the background, though, this Klondike tries to take out Bastion as he's standing up, trying to utilize the tire, but great Earth Shatter right there. It catches 4 people. Unfortunately, not able to do as much. The Brez does come out to get them into the game. Eagles will take out Squig, and Eagles take down Bastion as well. And as the team started closer in more, trying to take more advantage of the fight. Klondike is just swinging his hammer, and yeah, sure, that's a great Earth Shatter right there, but not nearly as much timing as possible. Cement gets the Deadeye off, but unfortunately, the shield comes right back up. That was just a millisecond off. If he popped that just a second earlier, Klondike is still on the ground, and that's an easy kill.
That is a great hold from Unlucky 13 as they turn around from a losing fight into a winning one off the back of a great Earth Shatter from Klondike. They just really turned that into their favor, and again, force ultimates out of I need healing in suboptimal cases, in suboptimal uses, I should say. Cypher standing around the corner, he's looking for that death pulse, and he gets the barrier, but the denial comes through from Tops. We hear D.Va herself say denied, and the Transcendence will keep him alive if anything leaks through. Klondike gets the shoulder charge off and the barrage. That means 2 down early. Cement will kill Klondike, but I don't think it means enough. OG Dinesh unable to get much value. There comes the Graviton to clear up the remaining 3, and we are now down to the last 70 seconds on the possibly in this entire Scrub Cup finals for Unlucky 13.
Yeah, that's kind of where you don't want your fight to be. You don't want to take your fight. And in fact, where D.Va's kind of sitting around and on the phone where everyone else is behind her. You want to fight more that fall in. That's what's been working for the side of IE healing. But meanwhile, though, Cypher back up to what he used to do, coming in and out with very little pressure. And Koya now with so much energy and gets the shield up, doesn't have to lock into a corner. If he goes down, this is not good for Earth Shatter. Catches quite a few people out. 6 Echo goes down as well. And now Cypher in the background trying to duel Cement. Cement can't take him out, especially at close range. And that D.Va bomb does not get much off. Stardust still staying alive. There is a 4-man res, and the counter res comes back out to get more momentum in the process. Bastion will take down Cypher, but not before it trades out on Cement and Klondike right now. Taking out the Mercy, no more healing from there. Transcendent will negate the charge and majority of the damage. The teams are swinging up against each other. 6 Echo will have the Discord on. That means that it just makes it so much easier for him to go in. Cement coming back in with the Tracer and that big Earth Shatter land, knocking them all to the ground. Cement only person alive, and OG Dinesh trying to get back onto this point. No way possible, and that is the win for the side of Unlucky 13.
Unlucky 13 showing their mastery over their composition in this regard. They take a full hold on Kings Row. They turn a 3-0 final score. They take the map. They take the series. Unlucky 13s are your Scrub Cup NA Grand Champions, as we get to see the play of the game from Cypher on the Reaper that he has played so well throughout the duration of this tournament. And we get to see some of that excellent play right here. We get to see letting the die speak for itself. So, 6 Echo, the consolation 8 votes on the card. They do take second place. Do I need healing? As we do mention, Unlucky 13, 3-1 in this best of 5 series. They take it. They take the Scrub Cup NA Grand Finals, the championship match, and that will be it for both of these teams. Unlucky 13, your grand champions. This has been the Scrub Cup NA section. I've been LaFawn, your caster. With me, Scribe, on the color. We got to shout out, of course, all the productions behind the scenes who helped put this on. I mean, everyone from our observers who helped present this game, to all the administrators, volunteers, coaches, and players themselves who all enjoyed the benefit of the Scrub Cup. So shout out to all of them, of course. Scribe, you got anything for me here?
No. I mean, obviously, I encourage a lot more players to come out and kind of compete, especially with Open Division and a lot of these ways to get into the Overwatch League. I cannot stress enough how important it is that people just get out and play. Some people might think I might be not good enough to scrim together. Honestly, just get started. You learn so much by playing together as 6, right? Playing in solo queue and competitive queue, while that is a good way to learn how to play your champion, you're going to have to worry about so many extra stuff. You're not going to be playing so much as a team, right? Playing together a team allows you to kind of understand, hey, how am I going to win this game, right? And allows you to bounce thoughts off players that you can trust, right, and stuff like that. So definitely excited for all of that.
I sincerely cannot add anything to that, Scribe. Thank you very much. Again, I want to be very, very clear. A shout out to everyone who helped put this on. And if you're interested, if this looked cool to you, if this looked interesting to you, I urge you, check out this next Scrub Cup. Of course, you can find out more by visiting the Scrub Cup Discord. All the information is available below the Twitch viewer. So, Unlucky 13, your grand champion winners. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Hi, I just want to mention, congrats, of course, this is Doc, one of the guys putting it on, but, this isn't over, no. Unlucky 13 will have to fight final boss here, quite in a sec. I believe that's going to be on Hotohori Z's, Twitch channel, if you guys are still interested in watching them take on a team of 4 coaches and myself in what is essentially, literally final boss. As they go, I believe it'll be best of 5 again if you think you can hang on to it, but completely up to you guys. Again, if you want to watch that, I believe it's twitch.tv/HotohoriZ. That is HOTOHORI_Z. Thanks for everyone coming out and watching. Players, of course. And thanks for coming out. If you want to continue watching, obviously go over to Hotohori's channel here in a bit. Good luck to Unlucky 13. You'll need it.